Hello everyone and welcome to today's session on Salesforce Pardot. Do you know friends that Salesforce is a popular B2B marketing automation product among many Salesforce users? Not only is it closely linked to the Salesforce course object, but Pardot's low price point makes it accessible to many enterprises and thus enticing to new users as an intuitive solution with a low learning curve. Before we begin our today's agenda, do not forget to hit the subscribe button and click the bell icon. So let's discuss our today's agenda. First, we are going to start with introduction to Salesforce Pardot. Then, we are going to learn about what is marketing. Moving ahead, we are going to discuss about activities in email marketing. Then, we are going to discuss about marketing automation. Moving ahead, we are going to discuss about account-based marketing. Then, we are going to learn about ABM business scenario and use case. Moving ahead, we are going to discuss about Salesforce Pardot specialist, topics and exams. Then we are going to learn about Pardot Connectors and Sync. Moving ahead, we are going to discuss about Pardot Editions and admin. Then we are going to learn about admin grading and scoring. Then we are going to learn about LinkedIn connectors and social posting. And at the end, we are going to discuss about export, import and recycling.
So when it comes to Salesforce Pardot, so probably by now you and me both know what is Salesforce Pardot and why we need it and how Pardot is the one which we'll be talking about. Now, what is Pardot? So probably by now you understand it's a web-based application where we can sign in and we can work on B2B projects or B2B campaigns. So why we need it? Because it's specifically built or designed for B2B marketing. So when I say B2B, so it is business to business. So when it comes to marketing cloud, so it is built for B2C, that is business to consumers, that is end users, whereas Pardot is exclusively meant for B2B campaigns. Now, if you ask me why Pardot only, so it got a lot of features and it got a lot of advantage. So moreover, Salesforce acquired Pardot and also it is now able to integrate with rest of the other clouds we use in Salesforce. Now, how part of Pardot? So that is what we are going to learn in the next couple of sessions. So fine. So let me move further. So when it comes to Pardot, so Pardot is not the only web-based application which Salesforce has got. They got a lot of other products. Probably by now you have already worked on Sales Cloud or Health Cloud or Community Cloud or Commerce Cloud, Service Cloud. So probably by now you have worked on a lot of other CRM tools from Salesforce. Now this Salesforce enable us to connect this Pardot platform with any other web-based application wherein we can always have the data sync and we can make use of the data for targeting purpose. So let us see how we can do that. Now let us understand what this Salesforce has got. So what are the options? What are the features this Salesforce has got for itself? Now to start with, when it comes to a dashboard, so dashboard consists of marketing, prospects, reports, admin, and all prospects, marketing calendar, and activities, activate prospect. So these are all the options which are available on the main dashboard of this platform. So apart from the dashboard, as I said, on the dashboard, we'll get to see the marketing part. So what are exactly this marketing section consists of? So it consists of an option to build folders, create automations, calendars, campaigns, content, emails, engagement studio, forms, landing pages, segmentation. So these are all the activities we can perform on the marketing section of Pardot. On the other side, we got a reporting section where we can get to see the post-deployment activities. When I say post-deployment activities, once you deploy an email, so it can be an ad hoc basis, or it can be you are deploying the email through an engagement studio. Now you want to see how many people the email has been sent, how many opened, so at what time they opened, whether they downloaded the form. So there are a lot of post-deployment activities which you can access and we can see under. So there was about reports. So when it comes to prospects, so under prospects, you will get to upload an option to upload the new customers. Now, when I say prospects, so probably in the marketing cloud, we talk about subscribers, correct? In the CRM, so we call the same profile as contacts. So probably the phrase is different and the understanding is different over there. But when it comes to Pardot, every record, every profile, we call them with the phrase prospects. When I say prospects, they are not actually the subscribers. So they are about to subscribe, but there is a push need to be given to them. But again, in the Pardot main dashboard, on the left-hand column, so we'll get to see the prospect option, where you will have an option to create lists and upload records into the prospects, one-to-one email option, prospects account, and also visitor account. So these are all the subsections which we can get to see under prospects. So the other part was reporting. So I got confused with that. So when it comes to reporting section, this is where you will get to see the post-deployment activities. So you can view the post-deployment activities with respect to campaigns, or with respect to connected apps, or conversions. When I say conversions, it can be any activity a customer does on a landing page. So probably people get this confused with purchase. So purchase is also a conversion, but it is not the only conversion. So conversion can be, let us say you receive an email, you click on a CTA button, it takes you to a landing page where you have got all other options. So even to browse through, or even to go a level down and get to download a form. So even if you download a form, there is also a conversion. So probably there is a clear understanding is required when it comes to conversion. So you can view the conversions, you can view the life cycle, you can view marketing assets, opportunities, scoring categories. All these subsections are available under reports. So the last part of it is admin section. So this is where you can carry out all the settings for the Pardot. So you may say properties for the business unit itself, or instance. So in Pardot, we call it as instance. So probably in Marketing Cloud, we call it as business units and sub-business units. And if you go to CRM, so there we call it as developer org, or pre-pod, or UAT. So probably you are very well aware of those terminologies, right? Yeah. So in Pardot, we call it as an instance. It might be a production instance, or it can be an UAT, or it can be a QA instance. So under admin section, you will get to see an overview, automation settings, connectors, configuring the fields, domain management, exports and import. You can do recycle bin, security, system email, and user management. So all these options we can get to see under admin section. So this is the overview of a Salesforce Pardot dashboard. So I got a couple of slides here where to explain things in a much clearer way. So when it comes to Salesforce, so as I said, there is Sales Cloud, Health Cloud, Service Cloud, Commerce Cloud. So we call all of them as a CRM. So probably you can call it as a CRM or a CXP, Customer Experience Platform. In general, we call them as SFDC platforms. So Salesforce.com platform. Now on the left side of you, so you can get to see Marketing Cloud, which called B2C, that is business to consumers. On the other side, right hand side, you can see the Pardot, so which is exclusively used for business to business communication. Now on this environment or ecosystem, what we can do, we can have a bidirectional data sync where data can be moved to and fro. So it can be between Pardot to these clouds, or from these CRM tools to Marketing Cloud. So we can have a bidirectional contact or bidirectional transfer or movement of data. So on the other side, what we got on Pardot, so as I said, what are all the things we can do? We can nurture the lead, we can make the communication, we can make manage the prospects, we can see the reports when we make the communication, and also there are admin parts we can work on. And on the other side, on the Marketing Cloud side, we got Email Studio, Data Management, Mobile Studio, Web Studio. So there are a lot of other things also. I'm just and pick a couple of them so that it will give us a bird's eye view on a higher note. So this makes things clear a little bit. So till now we are clear. So let me proceed further. So what is marketing? So probably by now, I thought, okay, I didn't know that, okay, you are already have a knowledge on Marketing Cloud, and I built this customized content so that I can take them, even if he's a new or a fresher into the Marketing Cloud. I just wanted to explain them what is marketing. So that is why these things are there. We'll just quickly run through this for a better understanding. What is marketing? So probably we got online, offline marketing. So probably you are all very much aware of when it comes to online marketing. So we also know what are the different mediums through which we can perform online marketing. It can be through email marketing, or it can be display advertisements, search marketing. We also have social media marketing. So there are other channels through which we can market the product. So in digital world, correct? Now, when it comes to email marketing, so there are a lot of things which involved in email marketing. Since you already have an experience working with Marketing Cloud, so you also know what it involves to build a campaign or run a campaign, email campaign. So you need to build an email or a creative. So you need to manage the data. You need to target your customers by applying the condition or filters. You can also send the emails, or that is, you can do an ad hoc deployment or a deployment through journeys, or you can make use of workflows. And also you can see the reports, and also you can perform behavior-based communication or behavioral targeting. So there are a lot more than to this in email marketing. Now, when it comes to automations, because that is where all this boils down. So to build a creative, probably you have already experienced how we can build an email in Marketing Cloud. So it is the same way we also build an email in the Pardot. So I will show that, but it's a generic content. But when you build an email, so you can always display the content indifferently to different customers. So based on their scoring, based on the rating, and based on their behavior, so we all have the option to dynamically populate this content, correct? So what we can do, so we can always dynamically populate, and we can have a script, and from the pool we can pick it up and we can display them. So even if it is an image, even if it is a text content, or if it is a footer or a header, so we can always automate this, correct? Now, even if it comes to data management, so what we can do, we can create data collection, we can do data validation, data integration can be done, sharing can be done, analysis can be done, warehousing can be done. So there are a lot of activities we can do when it comes to data management. Now, all these things can be automated, correct? So even if it is data integration, can be automated. If it is data sharing, we can automate it. If it is data movement, so from one platform to another platform, you can create an automation. So if it is consider a situation where the data is present on the SFTP, so we can always create an activity under automation to pick up the file. So yeah, so there are a lot of marketing automation we can do. So even if it is behavior-based communication, so whatever you perform, or it is targeting the customers, or sending the emails, or report analytics, so everything can be automated. Now in Pardot, so there are limitations. So not everything can be automated there. So if it comes to deployment, so there are one-on-one deployment, there are ad hoc deployments we can perform. And also under Engagement Studio, we can create journeys. So there in Marketing Cloud, we call journey. So here they call it as engagement workflow. So only the difference is the terminology they use is different, and options available are entirely different here. So we'll see to it when it comes to journey Engagement Studio, when we get to work on workflow. So I will show you what all the options it will provide us. But just to understand what is marketing automation, I thought of connecting or explaining these things. I'm sorry, because these are very elementary, very basic, and you already know all these things. So now, apart from automating any marketing event or activity, so the new terminology we are making use of in B2B is account-based marketing. So probably this is not new to B2B. It's there from it's there for the last 1 decade or more than a decade, but they were not doing it in a structured way. So there was that is where these digital platforms came into picture, and they started using this to target or perform account-based marketing. So when I say account-based marketing, you already know marketing through Salesforce Marketing Cloud, where we send the content exclusively for an individual customer, correct? But yeah. So here, when I say account-based marketing, we are talking about an account. So when I say an account, it can be a company. So where account-based marketing is exclusively for business to business, where we identify an account or a company that match our ideal target, and we start sending them personalized communication. So what it involves in identifying. So first and foremost, we need to identify which company I need to target, which company I need to go for, because I have a product and I cannot market it to everyone. So first and foremost step here is to identify an account. So next thing is you need to find out the marketing prospect. Now create the marketing campaigns and materials targeted at the account. Now when you know who your targeted companies are or accounts are. So you need to prepare your marketing content which can suit their requirement, wherein you explain about your product. Now it is something like, if I have to explain it in a layman's language, you tailor-made your resume to suit the company or to where you are going for an interview. So because one size doesn't fit all. So probably one company might be asking about your overall experience and a marketing cloud, but there might be another company which might be looking for multiple skill set. So wherein they look for marketing cloud as well, and CRM, and also on Pardot, and also on connectors. Do you have that combination? Yes, they will go for. No, they will be looking for such an skill set where you tailor-made your resume. So even I advise the same thing. Now, you cannot send the same resume to everything. Don't do that. Now it is the same case. Now in the marketing, what we do, so we will identify a target audience. We prepare the content in such a way that it suits their requirement perfectly. So then next, what we need to do? So we need to measure. So once you start sending the marketing contents, you need to measure it. So without which we cannot proceed, without which we cannot analyze whether our campaigns or our communications are performing, whether we are having a traction, whether we are having any activity from the other side. So we need to perform that. We need to perform a measure. So we need to check how they are working or how they are performing. So these things are very basic when it comes to account-based marketing. On the other side, ABM is not a tech category, it's a strategy. So that is the bottom line. So we need to understand this. So here, a winning strategy will get you on business. So it is not the tech savvy, or it is not the colorful campaigns which work, but it is the strategy which we build to contact that account or to reach out that account, to grow that interest in that account. So that is what matters a lot. And how frequently you contact them. Now, how your approach is. So these things need to be meticulously planned so that you don't lose them, because it takes a lot of effort to identify one single account, and if you lose it, all those efforts will go in vain. Correct? Okay. So on the other side, so ABM is good for teams that sell to mid-market and enterprise, selling to a buying center and not just an individual. So that's what I am saying. It is not, we are not targeting here an individual, but an entire org we are working on. And also it will not be a very short period or short notice communication. So we need to plan a long time. So minimum 6 months. So there need to be a follow-up. So that's what they say in B2B. So on the other side, we got ABM can help in better aligning the sales and marketing. So provide personalized experience and keep sales and marketing strategies focused, make better use of limited resources, and help demonstrate the value of investment. So you need to clearly let them know. That is where our strategy comes into picture and marketing content comes into picture. So you need to clearly let them know, using our product, how they can benefit. So these things, even if you do not stand in front of them personally, your content should speak for itself. So that is how your strategies should be built in B2B. So on the other side, yes. So it is not a top-up approach, it is a top-down. So you start with the highest, the guy who is in the highest position in a company or in an account, and then you tackle them one by one a level below, because we are not reaching out to a production employee or a guy in the production floor in a company. We are targeting decision makers. We are targeting a CEO. We are targeting directors or board of directors. So that is where this B2B marketing or account-based marketing got a separate position in the marketing environment. Makes things clear. Now, steps which we need to follow when you are going for implementing an ABM, that is account-based marketing. So first of all, I said that, okay, so we need to identify the high-value target. So we are not going for any startups here. So we are going for a guy or an account which has already built and who can spend some cost or amount, or they got allocated a sufficient budget for this kind of purpose. So we need to identify such a account and target key accounts that have potential to contribute to the revenue. That means when I say revenue, for the marketer, so the product owner. So do they have something in their kitty which I can take it? Yes. So you need to identify a high value customer, and then so conduct a research. A thorough research is very, very important here. We need to investigate. So you can let your guys on physically, you can ask them. So to go near the company or online. So there are a lot of online presence for every marketing company or every account or companies. So you need to search, make a thorough investigation and make your homework so that you will understand what exactly their requirement is, what exactly their weakness is, now what exactly they are expecting. So probably they will be floating out the FRDs, but again, it is our responsibility when we are making an approach from our side. It becomes my responsibility to do a thorough homework before I reach to them. Because in sales, there are two types. So one is I go to the company or a marketer and or a client and tell them, okay, this is my product. So please let me know if you have a requirement. So that's a direct. Now there is another kind of sales where you understand what their exact requirement is and you tailor made your content and go that, okay, and say that, okay, this is what I think your requirement is and my products completely suits your requirement. So it is tailor made. So you can go for it. Now that is how you can make an approach. So that is what it involves. And the next one is about developing customized marketing content. So that's what I said. So your content or whatever projection or presentation you are giving to them, it should be always customized and it is personalized. So on the other side, run your customized campaigns frequently. Now, how frequently? It needs to be evaluated. Now, you cannot keep on sending. So that's what we also practice in B2C. So we cannot keep on sending our targeted campaigns or personalized content every day or thrice in a week. No, it needs to be meticulously planned. So either if you are going for once in a week, no, that is fine. So if it is 5 times in a month, so that's also fine. Now, how you conduct your campaigns or how you deliver your campaigns. So are you delivering online content? Are you approaching them through emails? Are you conducting any events? Or are you conducting webinars? Now, if you are conducting an event or a webinar, so there need to be an invitation to such people who are in the high positions. So the other part is once we are performing all these activities, running the campaigns and approaching them, and we get to see the tractions. So there need to be a team which can sit together and check now how these campaigns are performing so that it will be an input for future campaigns. So all these things are involved in strategizing or planning account-based marketing. Okay. So things make, are we clear on this guy? Yeah. So let us see a business scenario here. Okay. So here, when it comes to a business scenario, so what can be a business scenario? So it can be to capture the leads. So that is what the B2B marketing platforms are meant for, to capture a new lead and follow them up, track the activities they perform and any conversions, any activity they perform on the landing pages. Now, all these things can be performed using this B2B platforms. And it can be a sales pitch. So offering this, send multiple emails in a series, data management. So you can perform that. And on the other side, it can be a service-based industry where you provide service emails or reminders or a feedback or follow-up emails can be sent. And on the other side, you can also send ad hoc communication, so one-to-one communications. So as I said, if it is a webinar or an event, so you cannot send group emails to a director. So you can keep them on a CC or a BCC. It has to be 2. And it has to be addressed to that guy. And it should look like an email from a human. So an element of human touch should be there when you are sending a one-to-one communication, because it's very, very important, because we are reaching out to a guy in a high position who is a decision maker or who can be an influencer. Okay, so custom journeys can be built. Yes, so engagement studio is there where we can build workflows and we can configure multiple emails or multiple communications which can be sent and based on the activity. Now, if probably you have done that on Marketing Cloud n number of times on a journey. So if a guy has opened the email, you will send a communication. If the guy has not opened the email, you will send a reminder email. So all these activities, again, we can configure that in an engagement studio. So we can also perform send transactional communication. So probably this part we will not be able to do that in Pardots, because here e-commerce kind of communication can be sent, but transactional communication, so I don't think so we'll be able to do that in Pardot. But I'm just talking about the ABM marketing concepts here. Okay. So I got a use case here. Let us talk about the use case. Let us consider a company, NFRS. And it's a software development company or service provider in health sector. And the software is used for managing doctors' profile or shift details of the doctors or the employees working there, or it can be to capture the patient details. So just it's an imagination. So it's an NFRS is just my imagination. Okay. So how we can make use of this B2B platform? So identify your target. Now, who might be your target customers? Because as an NFRS company, so what your product is, you are developing a software. You got a platform, or you got that product with you, which can be useful for health sector. So first and foremost, you need to identify whom you should approach or who you want to approach. No, you cannot approach a company which manufactures tires or which manufactures vehicles. Correct? No, that is not my target area. My target area is healthcare sector or health industry. So I need to check with the nursing homes or health clinics or super specialty hospitals. So I need to target them. So where exactly they have a budget for my product. So where exactly there is a usage for my product. Yep. Okay. So later on, what you need to do? So you need to identify key players. So who are all there? So whom I can approach, whether it's an account owner. So do they have a digital marketing department whom I can approach? Or do they have a CEO or a chief marketing officer whom I can approach and I can get a contact number or a contact communication ID? So whether it's a directors or board of members do have. So I need to make this homework. Now I can do that on online websites. So because on online, so they will probably on their company websites, they will be having these information. So they will be making it public. Now, there might be certain people who are not visible in the public space, but they might be inside the company working or having sitting at the top positions, who are all influencers. Now, probably we need to make sufficient homework to collect those information, or contact details, so that you prepare a prospect list whom you can target, whom you can approach, whom you can request for a demo. So that is what the next plan will be. Run consistent target campaigns. So that's what you should be doing. So you need to approach them. So you need to ask them for a demo. So you need to ask them for a time. So let us say 1 hour or half an hour. So whatever time frame in their busy schedules, whatever they can provide us. So whether they are able to provide that. So you need to constantly follow them up. Now, if they are willing to attend an event, invite them. If it is a webinar, free webinar, ask them to attend it. Now, if you can reach out to them with through a direct email, so do it, because you need to do it very, very carefully. Why? Because there are legal actions. So there can be a legal action because they are not customers for us. They are not voluntarily opted into for your email campaigns. So that is the point to say, I need to bring it here. So whatever campaigns we are running, so it needs to be carefully considered and strategically planned so that we don't land up in any legal action. Because when you are reaching out to a director or a CEO, so there need to be a permission. So there are permission-based campaigns or permission-based emails we send. So that's what B2B is helping us out. So you need to ask them a permission, whether I can reach out to you. So you can do that in any other channels, through any other channels. So only when there is a permission, you can reach out to them. So that's what need to be planned out. And you need to you need to follow them and continuously, consistently, and close the deals for you. So makes sense? We have an understanding here, correct? Yeah. So let me, I got a use case here where I have got a couple of points. So you can see a new lead was created on CRM. Now just take an example here. So because we'll, since you are with, you already worked on CRM, so we'll come from that side itself. So let us say you got a new lead and you created a lead object. So you created that contact on the lead object. So you got some information. Now that leads need to be moved into the sales funnel. You can follow them, you can nurture them on the CRM, but it's very limited option on the CRM. Probably when you are working on, so you can send communications. So probably we will be sending one-to-one communications, right? On the CRM. Now you need to follow them thoroughly. You wanted to follow a group of leads and you need to do it in an automated mode. So which cannot be performed on a CRM side. So that is when all these leads will be moving them onto B2B platform on a Pardot through a connector, and we get them onto a prospect list. So that's what we can do. So welcome emails and reminder emails were created on Pardot with the dynamic content to suit the contact. After initial email was sent, we'll wait for a 5 days check. So this, I'm just talking about what is the requirement here. What is the requirement from the client? So this is what he said. So you got a new lead. So you wanted to send a email to them and you wanted to follow them up. Now, after a 5 days of wait, so they wanted to send openers and non-openers separately. they wanted to target non-openers and they wanted to target separately the openers. And if they got to register for a demo, so how you want to follow them up. So that's what the 4 steps is. For all the contacts who open the email, and you can send them a follow-up email with a CTA button where you ask them to register for a demo. Now, for all those guys who have not opened the email, you can follow them up and you can send a same reminder email or a follow-up email where you will provide a CTA button to register for an event. Now, all these things. So I'm just giving a business scenario here, how it can be and how we can convert that into a full-fledged workflow or engagement studio activity on Pardot. So you got the case right here. Okay. So now what we can do on a Pardot, so we can new lead rotate to Pardot. So we can trigger an email campaign, welcome email, then check for openers and non-openers. So probably we can send a follow-up email. So that's what. So whatever steps I just jotted down in the previous slide. So we got that in a flow here. So that's what we are able to do it on Pardot. So probably Journey Builder also does the same work for us. But in Engagement Studio, we got many options which can be configured for a prospect. So we can update their profile, we can disable them, we can track their communication or responses, we can track whether they have downloaded any forms, if it is an embedded form, so whether they have submitted it. So there are a lot of activities which can be configured in one single engagement flow. Yeah. So now we will proceed to the next one where we'll talk about the Pardot. So intro into the Pardot. So this is how a Pardot platform looks like. So where so the moment you logged in, so you'll get to see a dashboard, and on the left-hand column you can get to see.
Just a quick info, guys. Intellipaat provides Salesforce online training mentored by industry experts. The course link is given in the description below. Now, let's continue with the session.
Those sections, that is marketing, prospects, reports, and admin section. So the moment you logged in, you will get to see the dashboard part. So where you will get to see all the prospects here and prospects created. Now, how many new prospects were created? So conversions, any conversions has happened, opportunity created, all prospects. And then also you'll get to see a glimpse of calendar. So you can go into the calendar, you can get to see what all the events which are scheduled for future. So activity of prospects, so you can review them. So this is how classic Pardot dashboard looks like. Fine. Okay. Check with what is that you need to prepare for. So when you are going for a Pardot specialist or email specialist or any other certification for Salesforce, there are prerequisites which we need to meet, and also there are topics they will be covering in each of these certification courses. So probably in 2 slides I will be covering that, and we will move ahead with the connectors. Fine. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so now when it comes to Salesforce Pardot Specialist exam, so this is the detail we have got. So it contains 60 multiple choice questions and also 5 unscored questions. They say it is 5 unscored. That means though you attend them, so 60 are mandatory. So you need to attend all of them, or it's up to you. So, but for sure you need to attend all the 60 questions. But these 5, we call them as grace questions, where we advise go for it and attend it. Now, if there is a situation where you are in the borderline, so probably these unscored questions so will also be of help. So that's what we advise. So go for all the 65 questions, and the time limit is 90 minutes here, and passing score is 72%, and the registration fees is $200 US. Along with that, there will be a tax included. That will be a local tax levied on that. So probably if you ask me from my side, so it will be 200 plus $35 additional tax. And if you clear it in one go, so that will be fantastic. Now, if you go for touch wood, it shouldn't happen. Now, if you're going for a retake or a re-exam for the same certification, so it will be $100 plus a tax. Now, here there is one more advantage. Now, what we can do is there are coupon codes which are available for such a Salesforce certification. So like 50% off, or $40 off, or $70 off. So there will be some coupon codes which are available, and if you can apply them, so it will be like if it is $40 off. Let us say, take an example, you got a coupon code for $200, $40. Now it will be 200 minus $40. It will be $160 plus tax. So it will be something like that. But Salesforce themselves, they provide these coupon codes for those resources who attend their boot camps. Now, if you ask me what a boot camp is, now every now and then, every month, they conduct these boot camps for interested candidates who are planning to appear for these certification courses. And these boot camps, they run for 5 to 6 hours continuously in one day. Yes. Now, if you are part of it, if you attend them, so probably they will get you $40 off or $20 off. Based on the availability, they will be getting this coupon codes. So other thing is when it comes to attempting for an evaluation, so you can go for, there are two options. So one, you can go online, or you can identify a nearby center, a browsing center or a center where you can take the evaluation. So in that case, what happens? When you are going for an online test, what happens here is there will be a one-on-one monitoring. So there need to be a webcam, or if it was taking through a laptop, so it has to be continuously streaming your video, and they won't allow any kind of chit chat, or if you are turning your heads there or here and there. So there are chances that they will pause it or they will keep it on hold, and they will ask us to move the webcam or check whether there are any people or there are any supporting or aids within the room. So probably it's a kind of closed room evaluation. So you need to be very, you need to be very concentrating on that. Now, otherwise, you can always look for a center where they provide you, they allow you to take an examination, but it needs to be a certified, registered service center. So you can check it nearby in your area. So definitely there will be. Otherwise, you can always go for online. Then prerequisite, yes. Now for Pardot email specialist or Pardot specialist, we don't have a prerequisite here. So if you ask me what a prerequisite is, let us say if you are going for a marketing cloud specialist, so there is no prerequisite. But if you want to go for marketing cloud developer or marketing cloud consultant, so it is mandatory for a resource or a person to clear email specialist as well as admin. So only if they are qualified enough or if they pass that, so they will be going for or they will be allowed to take the next level. So, but here in this case, they won't be taking, or there won't be any prerequisite. So all clear here. Now here they have divided the questions for each of the topics. They have dedicated 8% of the questions will be on visitors and prospects. Now, when I say visitors and prospects, so describe the relationship between visitor and prospect, give a scenario, apply the appropriate plan of action using prospect audits. So these are all the in detailed study we will be doing. But this is a breakdown of questions. So when I say 60 questions, so based on this percentage, the questions will be included in the set. So 8% will be on prospects and visitors, and 11% of the questions will be from the administration section. And again, one of the major chunk of questions will be from Pardot forms, form handlers, and landing pages. And 24%, which is the majority, so which will be a lead management. So how you manage the leads, which will comprises of components, difference between capabilities, then capability of completion action, capability of a segmentation rule, page action, scores and measures, how scoring is managed, grade and measures, and how grading is managed, capabilities and use cases of custom redirects. So these are all the topics which are part of lead management, and 24% of questions will be from this topic. Okay. So apart from that, yes. So from email marketing, there will be 20% questions. So which comprises of difference between email as well as email template. Now, if you ask me what is an email there and what is an email template, so how is the difference? So probably you have seen in the marketing cloud when we are creating the email. So there are different ways in which we can create an email, correct? So we can create a template. The template can be HTML-based template, or it can be a existing template-based. And when you go for creating an email, so you can create HTML-based email, you can create template-based email, you can create text-based email, you can create HTML plus AMP email. So there are different ways in which we create the email. And here also in Pardot, we can create an email, we can create a draft, we can create a template. Now how they are different. Now what are the different actions we can perform on that? If it is a draft, what it is. If it is a template, what it is. Now how it can be used. Now if you want to deploy them, now where exactly you need to access them. So all these are part of email marketing. So identifying and use cases of email, then distinguish between metrics collected. Now when it's come to reporting section, now how we can get the reports for the ad hoc sends or the emails which are deployed. So that comprises of 20% of the questions, and rest will be the 17% will be on engagement studio. So probably they will be asking less questions on engagement studio. Probably more questions will be covered when you go for Pardot consultant, because Pardot consultant is a little bit complex, and they will be covering the Pardot entire platform in length. Okay, so these are all the breakdown of percentage of questions which are allocated for different topics. Yep. Okay. So let us move ahead now. So why Pardot and Salesforce? So what is the combination here? Why this combination is working for most of the clients? Now this combining, it's an option where you combine a built-in class CRM with a class 1 B2B marketing platform. So that's a deadly combination which is making the magic in the real time. So in the digital marketing. So where you can standardize a lead qualification, can track behavior, you can perform behavioral tracking. So you can automatically assign a lead and you can automatically convert them. So whenever they are moving in the sales funnel, and whenever there is an activity capture, so that can directly be presented or directly synced with the CRM tool. And also when it comes to ROI, definitely the reporting section will help you out to know how these campaigns are performing and how your investment is getting you the returns. So all this, because of there are various reasons why this combination is doing the magic around the globe. And now we'll start with Pardot Connectors. So first we will understand how we can connect the platforms. So we'll talk about the connectors, and then we will try to understand the data structure within the Pardot and how it can be connected with the CRM. So once we are all good with the data, then we will move on to the platform where we will try to understand the other sections of the Pardot platform. So now let us talk about Pardot Connectors here. So when it comes to Pardot Connectors, so you need to install, so probably when you are working on Marketing Cloud and the Salesforce CRM, so to connect, so whatever procedure you follow, it is the same procedure, similar procedure, and there is no, there will be a couple of sections where you will be making a difference, and rest of it remains the same. So first of all, you need to access this Pardot App Exchange site where you can go for installation link. So if you click on the installation link, so it will take you to a page where you have the managed packages to install it for production, and also if you want to install it for sandbox. So when it comes to Pardot, so there are two instances are available. One is the production instance, the other one is sandbox instance. Now there is nothing called as UAT here. So if you want to perform any activity, so it can be done on sandbox. Now if you want to replicate it on production, we cannot push it from sandbox to production. So probably if you have an experience in working in CRM where you will get to see different orgs like development org, then pre-pod, then UAT, and production org. Now, whenever you work on a new project, so every production or development will be done on development org, which will not impact anything which is happening on the production. So we'll keep them pushing from development to pre-pod and development to UAT, from UAT to pre-pod, and from pre-pod to production. And only when it is moved or pushed onto the production, so it will impact. But here we don't have such an arrangement. So probably you have seen that case in the Marketing Cloud also, where we don't have such an option. So even in the Marketing Cloud, at least in the Pardot, we have a sandbox login. But in Marketing Cloud, if you buy or if a marketer buys an instance, so like business unit, so they don't get a sandbox login, they have to do a testing within that environment itself. But in this case, you can have a sandbox separate and production. Now, so you need to choose which package you want to install, whether you wanted to install it on Pardot production or Pardot sandbox. Now you can click on that. So if you click on production, let us say if you click on production environment, so it will take you to a login page. Now, if you ask me what this login page is, now, if as of now, if you have bought a Pardot, if a marketer has bought a Pardot instance, it is always linked with a CRM platform. Now, if you want to install, so you need to log into your CRM org, then only it will take you to this installation page. where you will be having the option to install as an admin or an all users, or you can install it as a specific profile. Yeah, if you are installing it only for the admins, so probably it is the same case even with the Marketing Cloud and Salesforce SFDC and Pardot with SFDC. Now, if you are installing it only for the admins, only an admin user can integrate and he can work on the Pardot synchronization. And only if he's an admin user on the Pardot side, he will be having all the access to perform sync related activities and customized feeds. If he is any other user, he will not have the access and also the authority. Because when it comes to Pardot, so there are different types of users. Probably in the Marketing Cloud also we can see admin user or viewer or analyst, some connectors. And here also in the Pardot, we got marketing, we got automation, we got admin. So we got different users. So particularly there are 4 different types of users. We'll come to that. If you are installing it as an admin only, then only the admin user on the Pardot will be able to perform all the activities. Now, if you are installing it for all the users, every user on the Pardot will be able to access this and will be able to perform all the activities. If it is for specific users, so you can give the access. Let us say on the CRM side, you got 10 users. Now, all the 10 users are not all the Pardot users. Now, out of 10 users, there are only 3 users who are Pardot users. And you wanted to give the access only for those 3 users. So then you can go for installation using a specific profile. Yeah. If it is only for admins, then only an admin user can proceed with the connections or establishing the connection. And also an admin user on Pardot can perform all the sync activities. No other user will be able to access it. Now, let us forget about users and specific users. So if you want to talk about only the admin user, so if you are going for only an admin user, so install for admins only, then only a guy who is authorized as an admin, he can only perform the activities. No other users with any other user capability. Let us say on CRM, there is an admin user, there is a developer, and there is a production user. Now, the production and developer user will not be able to work or make the Pardot connection or make the activities happening on the Pardot. So only the users with admin rights can perform the activities. Okay. Now, and the moment you install the package, so what else you can do? So you can directly reach out to your SFDC CRM and go to the platforms. Under apps, you will get to see installed packages, where you can get to see your package, Pardot package installed. And you can see that this package has got the version 4.80. So whereas the version which we got to see in the last page, it was 4.79. So probably 4.7 or something like that. So 4.72. So that's why, okay, not this one. Yeah, 4.79 version. So that's why it said, okay, downgrade, but we are not going for a downgrade here. When the installation completes, we'll get a confirmation on your registration page. So this is where you can make a confirmation. You can always reach out to your CRM and setup. So under setup, platforms, apps. So under apps, you can go for packaging. So where you can get to see the installed package. So once this is done, so before you move on to the Pardot platform, so there are checks we need to perform. So what else you can do? So you can go to your user. So confirm on the package installation. Yes. So this is what we are supposed to do. So this is done. Once this is done, you can go to admin users and go to the users here and check the user for him. So you need to click on this user to make sure you go to this page where you will access this permission assignments. So when you go to the permission set assignments, have the Pardot connector user. Okay, so you can edit it if you don't have it. So you can always edit this assignment, and when you it will take you to this page where you should make sure Pardot connector user and Pardot integration user is always selected for that user. So probably before the installation itself, we can make the confirmation. So once this is done, so confirm Pardot integration user is selected and it's all created. Now with that, with this, your activity for connecting Pardot with, SFDC with Pardot is completed on SFDC, that is on CRM. Now, once the connection is established, it doesn't mean that all the records from your CRM account object, a lead object and contact object will get reflected on Pardot. No, it doesn't happen. Now, for that to happen, what you need to do? So you need to get your records uploaded onto the Pardot. Take a case where on your CRM, you have got a lead object and contact object, and they have got almost 8,000 records. Now, the moment the connection is established, it doesn't mean that it will start reflecting all the 8,000 existing records on your CRM on the Pardot. No, it doesn't happen like that. What you need to do for the first time, once you establish the connection, you need to download all the contacts from your CRM, lead and contact, with email address and CRM ID, which is mandatory, and upload them onto Pardot. Now, later on, the sync will start established. The sync will start happening. So we'll see that. Fine. So whatever I explained, is it clear? So we'll see that how it impacts on the platform. But till now, whatever I explained, so were you able to get that? Okay, now fine. So when you establish this connection, now we need to understand how the sync works. So what is the sync logic? What is the sync activity? Now, how fields sync, correct? So if you get that understanding, so it will be always helpful for us to analyze how the data is coming and how it is moving and how it is getting reflected, correct? Now let's move ahead. When it comes to Pardot and Salesforce connection, so we can connect only one Pardot instance with one Salesforce org. So it's one-to-one. So that means, let us say SFDC, you got development org, you got QA, you got pre-pod, you got UAT and production. Now you can only connect with any one of them. You cannot connect Pardot with, if you're connecting Pardot instance with SFDC development org, it will only get connected with SFDC development. It won't reflect anything from your production. Now makes clear? Now, when it comes to sync unique identifier, if a marketeer, take an example, a brand has purchased Pardot instance prior to June 14, 2016, they would have got email ID as a unique identifier. But post 2016, they allowed a CRM ID to be considered as a unique identifier. Okay, yeah, fine. So now let us talk about how the sync is done between objects here. So when it comes to Pardot and Salesforce CRM environment, so we got prospects, only prospects under Pardot. Whereas on Salesforce CRM, you can get to see a lead object and a contact object. Apart from that, you also got to see campaign, and there might be some custom objects. There will be account object and opportunity object. So probably you are very much familiar with the objects on Salesforce CRM, correct? So there will be an arrangement like this. Now, when it is between the sync, so there will be a bidirectional data sync between lead and contact object on Salesforce CRM with prospects on Pardot. Yes. So only with these two objects. So the point we need to keep in mind is it happens only with lead and contact object. Also, along with prospect, we can create custom object. So I don't have the picture here, but just for your information, I'm telling this. We can have a sync, or we can create a custom object on Pardot. It doesn't mean that, okay, we cannot create it. We can create a custom object on Pardot and we can sync that with any other object here, but we cannot do, or it cannot be a direct sync. The data will not be moving here. So it can only be used for targeting purpose or filtering purpose. Though it is not here. So when it comes to platform, I will show you how we can create a custom object. But for time being, I would suggest let us not go into that. I just wanted to add on here, but let us not go into that. So let us understand the first level of it, and then we'll move level down. So are we clear on this? So apart from this, what happens when you're going for? So there will be a movement. So probably on the CRM side, so you all know how the objects are interconnected and how the lead objects, when we are sending the campaigns, or when you are assigning the campaigns to the lead, So how there will be a data movement or data sync between campaign and the lead and the contacts with the campaign. And also there will be a movement of data between custom objects with lead and contact details. Also between contact and with contact opportunity along with the contact. This is how a movement will be done on the CRM Salesforce, but with the Pardot, the bottom line here is with the Pardot, only these two objects will be making the talking. Fine. Okay, fine. So now moving on to the next slide. So here we are talking about, so now here in this slide, so it's a sync logic, how the sync happens. So in the previous slide, we saw how the movement happens. So when a sync happens, how the data gets captured on different objects, on lead or on contact. Now let us say there is a prospect from Pardot, and here the priority will always be given to our CRM ID. Okay. Now let's see. So can you see it here? So the priority, whenever a data sync is going to happen, so the priority will always be given to the CRM ID. So prospect CRM ID, and it will come back to the CRM, a Salesforce CRM, and it will check on lead or contact object if there is a similar CRM ID is available on lead or contact. Now, if the answer is yes, then there will be a sync with lead or contact object. Now, if the answer is no, what do you mean by no? The CRM ID which it took here is not available on lead or contact. Think that the CRM ID which I'm taking it to CRM for identification purpose is not available on lead or contact. Then if it is a no, it will check for the contact object for a similar email address. You're getting the point? So let us say this slide talks about sync logic, how the sync happens. Now, if we have a Pardot prospect, or if you got a prospect in the Pardot, and the sync needs to be done or established with the Salesforce CRM, so how it needs to be, we'll pick up. So it's not me who is picking up. So when the prospect is picked up for a sync, the priority is given to the CRM ID, which will be a unique identifier. Now what it does is, let us say there is an ABC CRM ID. It will check whether this CRM ID is available on lead or contact. Now, if the answer is yes, that means this CRM ID is available on lead, then that contact will get updated. So the prospect values will get updated either on the lead where it is available or on contact where the CRM ID is available. Clear? Now think that whatever CRM ID it is carrying, it is not available with lead or contact. Now what happens? If its answer is no, it will check for the email address. The second priority is given to the email ID. That's why I've given it as a second priority. The priority is the number 2 priority is for the email address. It will first check on the contact object whether a similar email address is present on contact object. If the answer is yes, it will get updated. If the answer is no, if the email address is not available on contact, then it will go for a lead object. It will check whether that email address which I am carrying of the prospect is available on lead. If it is available, it will get updated on lead. Now, the next is a little bit interesting. Now, let us say the email address of the CRM ID is not available on any of this lead or contact object. Now, what happens next? Then the Pardot prospect is assigned to an user and it will be created on lead object. Create a lead record. So this is what going to happen. Now, how this happens? If a lead need to be assigned, then need to be an assigned user. So in the Pardot, when we are uploading any record or when a prospect is uploaded or a prospect is created, a user need to be assigned for sure. Now he need to be the same user on the CRM. It will check whether the same user is available on the CRM. Now let us say, so Tracy is an Pardot user and Tracy is also an user on CRM. Now in that case, if you are the user who are uploading the prospect on Pardot and if your user is available on CRM, then you will be, the prospect will be created on lead object with your user as the creator. Now, if Tracy as an user on Pardot is available, but Tracy as an user is not available on CRM, now what happens? That value will be retained back only on the Pardot. So hope this slide clear you every doubt now how the sync logic happens, because if you are getting the basics right, so probably it will be easy for us to understand the environment on the Pardot. So when we move on to the Pardot platforms. So let us proceed then. Now we'll talk about the Salesforce syncing, and probably you might get to see a couple of statements here. So prospect sync is established with lead and contact object details. So probably we just covered that. And prospects are automatically created in Pardot if they are created as a lead or contact in Salesforce, only if they are created after the connection is established. Fine. So if a record do not have a CRM ID to match when syncing with the lead or a contact, so email address is used to match. That is, the second priority is for email address. So probably we just talked about that. CRM ID is the main. So that is the reason why this was the 3 points I wanted to cover in this slide. So one is prospect sync is established with the lead and contact. So we covered that. And prospect automatically created in Pardot if they are created in lead and contact. And this is created when the lead is created after the connection is established or the connectors are established. And the CRM ID is always used as a unique identifier. And earlier it used to be the email ID, but later they have said no to that, and it's only CRM ID now. So if not CRM ID, then only it will take the presence. Yes, correct. Now let us see the sync behavior here. So when it comes to Pardot with Salesforce, how the sync behavior is. Now when it comes to sync behavior, how often does the Pardot sync with Salesforce? So the answer to your question is every 2 to 4 minutes, the sync will be established. So sync will be done. A refreshment will happening. It will keep on happening.
Just a quick info, guys. Intellipaat provides Salesforce online training mentored by industry experts. The course link is given in the description below. Now, let's continue with the session.
Okay. So it's a continuous process, you can say, in other words. Okay. Now, if that happens, now how the contacts are refreshed? Now, you might say, okay, there are 5 lakh contacts on my CRM. So will the 5 lakh contacts will immediately get refreshed in 2 to 4 minutes? Will that happen? No, I would say no. It takes some time. So most records sync immediately, but Pardot process sync queue. So there is a batch-wise syncing. So 400 records per batch. So that is how the sync happens. And the maximum is 12,000 records per hour. So that is how the sync established. So these are just FYI where you can keep them for yourself. So these are all the basic things we should be knowing. Fine. So apart from this, we got sync triggers. Now when the sync happens. So normally whatever you have seen here, this is how the sync happens. Now apart from this normal sync, a refreshment will also happen, or a sync will also happen whenever there is an activity. So what kind of activity and where it does? So whenever there is an activity on the Pardot, or whenever there is an activity on the Salesforce, then the sync or refresh will also happen with that prospect. Now what they are? Now let us talk about one is the user triggers. So when a user does an activity, so let us say a prospect import or a prospect field update, Pardot campaign update, assigned user, manual sync. So in all these instances, the sync will be triggered. Apart from this, prospect trigger. So form submission. If a prospect has submitted a form, or form handler submission, or landing page submission, or email subscribe or unsubscribe. So in all these activities, whenever these activities happens, immediately there will be a sync. So apart from normal sync, which will happen 2 to 4 minutes in batches, so there will be a sync when there is an activity. So on top of it, I'm talking about. So user triggers, prospect triggers, and also it will be system triggers. So these all activities when it happens on the Pardot side. And when I say system triggers, yes, updating the record, add prospect to the Salesforce campaigns, or update the Salesforce campaign member status. So this form of a trigger is only applicable when applying rules or actions through the lead management. So these are all the activities when performed or when happens on the Pardot side. So there will be a trigger or sync trigger. Now on the Salesforce activity, on the Salesforce side, so there are less. So whenever a new lead or a contact is created, or a lead or a contact is assigned, or a lead or contact field changes, must have a connector setting enabled. So when this connector setting is already enabled, so this is which is very much mandatory for a sync. Now when these things happens or when this activity happens, again there will be a movement of sync between Salesforce and Pardot. So this is about sync trigger. Then managing the prospects on the Pardot. So how we can do that? So prospects are created. So when a website visitor submit a form or upload directly into the product. So there are two instances where it can happen. So if it is a, let us say a prospect visited a client's website or a web page and he wanted to register for something and he submitted a form and he will be created on prospect. He will be created on the Pardot. Otherwise, as an user, you can upload them directly onto the prospect, directly onto the Pardot. That means you are getting this database either from third party or from the client themselves. So on any instances, so you can create a prospect on Pardot. So on the other side, prospect is a person's record defined by an email address. So don't have an email address, you don't have a prospect. So that's what it says. So any prospect you want to create, mandatory, it needs to have an email address. If you don't have it, means it is not a prospect at all. Because anyhow, for a communication, we need to have an email address. So that is required. On the other side, prospect is a record information which can be then assigned to a lead or a contact Salesforce. Yes, this is information which we already talked about. And email address, yes, it acts as a unique identifier on prospect, and CRM ID is a priority when it comes to managing or syncing it with the CRM. So otherwise, within the Pardot, it's always email address. And later stages, I will let you know what has happened. So for your information, so as of now, if you want to manage the prospects on the Pardot, you can do so without the CRM ID, but they are not allowing us to do it. So why? Because they have got something called as allowing multiple email address, creating the prospects with the same email address. They are allowing this to happen, and that's why they are pushing this email address as a secondary key, and they are giving CRM ID as a primary identifier. So we'll talk about that a little later. Now, in this slide, I'm talking about the prospect list on Pardot. So let us say the prospects are created when form is submitted and or else the data is imported. So wherein you will get to see an email ID and the status. It might be opt-out or mailable or whatever the status is. And you don't have a CRM ID here yet. Okay. Now, prospect get updated when existing prospects submit a form or if uploaded through a CS. So whenever you do re-uploading of the same values or same email addresses, so it will get updated. So prospect values will get updated. So that's what happens within the Pardot platform. Now, let us see prospect from CRM. So what happens here? So is it clear now? So this is just a graphical representation of whatever we talked here.
Okay.
Fine. Now, this is where we are talking about prospect from the CRM. So when we have the prospects which are moved or synced with the CRM, what happens? Now, prospects are created on Pardot when a sync is established between Pardot and Salesforce CRM. And bidirectional data sync, yes, we did that, we saw that. And CRM ID, that is lead or contact ID that works as a unique identifier. Any prospect which moves from CRM into the Pardot will always be associated with a lead or a contact ID. Okay, so more than one prospect with the same email address can be created on Pardot when they are coming from CRM. That is what I told. Now, this might be a little bit confusing. So now, when I say we can create more than one prospect with the same email address on a Pardot side, what happens is, can we create it? Yes, we can create multiple prospects. Now, how we can create it? There is something called as allow multiple prospect with the same email address. Now, this happens when an email account or a record is created on lead object or a contact object multiple times. So let us say he is assigned with a lead ID, but email address remains the same. It can happen. It can happen, right? On CRM side, it can happen. So we can have the same email address. Yes, we can have 3 accounts, sorry, I should not be calling the account. So we can have 3 contacts with the same email address, but with 3 different contact ID. Now let us see a graphical representation of the same thing. So we got the Salesforce CRM prospects on Pardot here, and we got a new lead created where you can see the email address remains the same. So you can compare these two, where exactly the lead ID or the CRM ID is different, correct? Now this can happen. So yes, so this is why, because of allow multiple prospect the same email address, but it was not the case in earlier period. In the Pardot, it was never the case because their email address was only the unique identifier. Right? Now, scenario where Pardot consider only email address and it will not consider CRM ID. So what are all those scenarios? So when a form is submitted, let us say the prospect filling out a form has not already been cookied and there are multiple prospects with the same email address on Pardot. Now, whatever we just talked here. Now, in this case, we got multiple prospects with the same email address, but with a different CRM ID. Now, if that prospect, such a prospect has submitted the form, what happens? It will only consider email address and not the CRM ID. Now, when you do the data import, you are uploading the data, you got 3 records or 3 prospects with 3 different CRM ID with the same email address. Now, we'll let you know what happens on these instances. Recycle bin. So what is a recycle bin? If you ask me a question, what is a recycle bin? Recycle bin is found under admin section in Pardot, where all the deleted prospects will be found and will be there for a temporary period unless until you delete them permanently. Now, why you use a recycle bin? If you ask me a question, so we'll discuss more on this recycle bin. It's an advantage for us. So I'm just letting you know, if a prospect is found on the recycle bin and Pardot searches the recycle bin next, there are multiple prospects with the same email address. Let us say if he is found on recycle bin, what will happen? I will come to that. And the list emails, there are 2 prospects on the recipient list with the same email address. In all these instances, in all these activities, what happens? Pardot will consider only the email address. It will not go based on the CRM ID. It will identify the email address which has done or which has got a very recent update or a recent activity. Take an example. Let us say your email address. Let us say Tracy's email address is found on prospect Pardot and it is there in 3 different locations. So on the prospects, you got 3 records with the same email address with a different CRM ID. Now, take an example, prospect A, B, and C. All of them have got same your email address. A, B, and C. Out of A, B, and C, the C record has just updated with a value. That means he has just opened an email. Now the activity is captured on the C record, saying that, okay, email is open. That is the most recent activity. You did this activity today morning. That is 1st of September. Now, when the same prospect does a form submission, now where that value will get captured, whether on prospect A, B, or C, because all the 3 prospect has the same email address, but with a different CRM ID. Now, form submission action is captured on the C prospect because that is where we got to see a most recent activity as recent as today morning opening the email. Make sense? So this is about how and in which scenarios Pardot consider only email address. Then with respect to email preference and hard bounces, whenever an opt-out or a hard bounce happens. So what is the activity or what is the outcome? So when there is an opt-out, when there is a hard bounce, we don't need that prospect. Now what happens? If the multiple prospects with the same email address are present, let us say we got 3 prospect A, B, C, and all the 3 prospect has got the same email address, but with the different CRM ID, and prospect B got opted out. Do you want to manage the other 2 prospects, A and C? You don't need it because all the three share the same email address, correct? So it is the same case with hard bounce as well as soft bounce, or hard bounce as well as hard opt-out. Now, if it's a hard bounce means what? That email address exactly, it is not found, correct? Now, take an example. We got three prospects here with the same email address with a different CRM ID and one of the email address. So we are not sure which CRM ID it is logged with or associated with. Now he opted out. The moment it got opted out, now all of the prospects, all the three of them, irrespective of the CRM ID they are associated with, all of them will be opted out, or all of them will be hard bounced. Next, clear? So this is how the data activity happens within the Pardot. So apart from that, the engagement studio, AMPSC, that is allow multiple prospects. So how it can be a useful or advantage in the engagement studio. So it will, if let us say there is a prospect list which contains these three records. Now, if you are getting this prospect list into an engagement studio, what happens when the email is triggered? 3 copies of the email will be sent to this email address, right? So we can avoid that. So yes, so that was all with respect to the data part of Pardot. So any questions till now? It was all about the data, connectors, the sync behavior, sync activity, and how the refreshment happens, and the unique identifiers, and unique identifier on the prospect side, unique identifier from the CRM side, how the data flows and how the data moves with you. Right? So next slide talks about the login to the Pardot. So what is the procedure here? So as I said earlier, so it was all single sign-on option. So there is no individual login into the Pardot as such, as of now. You need to be a CRM user, or there need to be a CRM account with which a Pardot instance is associated. Now, in that case, what happens? You need to log into your CRM platform, and then you can attempt to log into the Pardot. So you can make use of this URL to access your Pardot instance. Now, when you access the Pardot instance, it will get you 2 options to log in. One is login with Salesforce, login to the sandbox. Now, if it is a sandbox, it will be individual username, password. But if it is login with Salesforce, so you can click on login with Salesforce, where it will directly take you to the Pardot instance, because it will be using your CRM credentials to log into your Pardot. So can you see it now? This is the main dashboard when you log into the Pardot. This is how it looks like. So that is why I said it is all now single sign-on. They call it as SSO implementation. Now, before we move on to the Pardot Editions, so let me take you to the Pardot instance. So where we will evidence how we can log into our Pardot. We saw that there are 2 ways in which we can log into the Pardot. One, you can log into the CRM. Then you can try attempting to log into the Pardot, where it will have an option called as login using your Salesforce credentials. So when you click on that, it will automatically verify and it will take you to the login page for the Pardot. Otherwise, you can directly access your Pardot instance, where it will again ask for login through CRM. And when you click on that, it will a pop-up will appear where it will ask you to insert your login credentials for the CRM. Fine. Okay. So what we are going to do is, so now we just saw how we can sign into Pardot. So now let us move on to the next section. So that is Pardot Edition. So what are the different editions which are available in Pardot? So when it comes to Pardot Editions, you're going for, or when you are deciding, let us say your marketer or a client wanted to purchase the Pardot Editions, or there are different editions available. Now it is very, very important for us to understand is. So do they need any advanced options, or can they manage with basic one or intermediary? So it becomes paramount for us to understand. So if you are a service provider, so we need to understand what they need. So whether they need an artificial intelligence, so what is the prospects size they wanted to manage, whether it is below 10,000 or about 25,000 or 50,000 or beyond that they are going. So what is the prospect size? Because based on the prospect size, they need to purchase the instance, or they need to purchase higher editions. So if it is a a lower edition, so probably there will be a limited option, or there are limitations for them. So it becomes very important for us to know what exactly they wanted to use it for. So use the Pardot for. So what is the size of the prospect they are managing? So where they are they going to do the scoring or grading of their prospects? So what kind of reporting they need? So whether they need a high level reporting or they are going a level down. So if they are going a level down and they wanted to deep dive into the reporting section, probably they might need a higher edition where analytics builder will be a part of the package. So we wanted to understand what they need in the reporting section. So whether they wanted to host their landing pages or forms within the Pardot, or they are using the external aid for that, and whether they wanted to send personalized content or it's a very generic content. So there are a lot of things which can be considered or which need to be considered before they zero in on a edition or a version of Pardot they want to make use of. Now, when it comes to different versions of Pardot, yes, so they got the basic version, that is Pardot Growth Edition, and they got Pardot Plus Edition, they got Pardot Advanced Edition, and also they got Pardot Premium Edition. So these are all the options they have got, and these are all the limitations they have got in each of these editions. Now, this, if they are already purchased the Pardot, and if you want to identify what edition they are using, yes, there is a place. I will show you that later. So if they are not, if they are newly purchasing the instance, then you need to consider all these points. So I will show you where exactly on the Pardot, so we can check what edition it is. Okay, fine. So when it comes to Pardot admin, so we will go one by one, Tracy, here. So let us go back to the admin section. So let us see what are all the options which are available in the admin. So when it comes to admin, you will get to see overview, you will get to see the automation settings, connectors, configure fields, custom fields, domain management, exports, import, recycle bin, security, system emails, and user management. So these are all the 10-12 options which are all directly comes under admin section in Pardot. Now let us go one by one. Let us talk about what is the overview part here. So when you go inside the Pardot, so and when you hover your cursor on admin, so you can see all the options lined up, and you can get to see the overview part. So when you go inside overview, this is what it will look like. So this is the Pardot overview, where you will get to see the date in the EST, the list mails, automated emails, one-to-one emails, engaged emails, all emails. So the statistics shows the number of activities from this Pardot instance. So since it is a sandbox login, you are not going to get to see the numbers here, but this is the columns and the values you can get to see. Fine. And you can export it using this export option. So whatever details or statistics you can get to see here, you can export them. And next to the export button, there is something called as edit tracking opt-in preference. Now, what exactly this edit tracking opt-in instance or opt-in preference? So if you click on that, it will take you to this page. Now, when you go into this page, you will get to see 4 different sections, subsections here. One is message, second one is a style, the third one is a link style, and fourth one is the option or radio buttons. Now, what is a message and what this option is all about? Now, take an example, a real-time scenario where you have created a landing page in Pardot. Fine. Now, you have created a page and you have used the URL in your email. You have sent the email to your customers or prospects. Now, when the prospects clicks on the URL, now it will ask a question whether they are okay, whether they are fine if I place a cookie on their browser, or it is to get their agreement or to get their, what do you say, consent. So to get their consent, so we can have this option enabled where it will all look like something like this. Okay, so before that, I will at the end of the slide, so they will have one more a page where it will show how it all looks like. So, but let us discuss one by one. So there is a message and style. So what is the use of message and style? So when it comes to message, so you can edit your message. You can have a clear-cut message for the customer prospects to read through, and also you can provide a URL. Normally, a URL to your terms and condition or privacy policy options or privacy policy landing page. So you can hyper code that. So with a anchor tag, so you can insert that within the URL. Apart from this, you got the style. So when it comes to styling, so what it all includes, so it includes position and top, left, width, text align. So this impacts where exactly you wanted this message to be placed. Okay, and beyond, after the, on top of it, you got a link style. So this link style is directly related to the yes or no click button. So if it is 1 EM, that means a standard size. So if you increase the font size, so it will appear in a bigger size, with a bigger size. And we got the other two options, that is request opt-in from all visitors before tracking, or you can go for request opt-in if visitor comes from a specific country. Now the question is, why we are asking for a specific country, or can't we have this opt-in for from all of them? Request opt-in from all the visitors before tracking, or opt-in, you can ask them, ask the consent if a visitor is from a particular country. Now why? Because there are countries where the legal actions or legal rules are very strict and not so strict. So where, let us take an example, if you go to EU countries, now there we have GDP. So probably where you are residing, so probably all those geographical locations are being governed by GDPR. Now, if you go to the US and that geographical location, probably CanSpan is the one which is legally holds or govern the online customers. Now, all over the globe on different geographical locations, they have their own, what do you call, online rules and regulations. So if you go to AU or Australia, so they got their own rules and regulations. Now, you can opt in for the second option, where you can select a group of country where it becomes mandatory for the consumer or the prospect to say yes or no before I place my cookie on their browser. Without their saying yes, I cannot do, or I will not be, so I shouldn't be doing anything. Okay, fine. So we just saw that, and here you can see the same page. I'm just giving an example here so that it will be on record. So you can see that when you open a landing page, again, as I said, this landing page has to be created on the Pardot. So then a message will appear, whatever message you have created in the edit tracking option, and it will have yes or no. So you can highlight it as our as you wish, and you can start tracking them. So now we will move on to the next section on the admin, that is scoring part. So where we got to see the scoring categories, the scoring rules, and scoring category changes affecting the prospect scores. So all these will be available in the next section on the scoring. So under automation setting, it is scoring. So you can see that. So under automation settings, so it is, we got two options. So under automation settings, we got two options. One is scoring and other one is filter visitors. So this is about scoring part. So under scoring, you will get to see the scoring categories, and also you will get to see the scoring rules, how you can scoring rules, and also the points you can assign it, and any changes which will impact, and the number of prospects which they are going to impact when you make the changes. So all this will be available under scoring, and I will cover both of them, and then we'll move on to the Pardot instance. So under automation settings, you will have scoring, and okay. So, and along with that, you will also have visitor filters. Okay. So now when it comes to visitor filter, so you got to see the scoring, right? So this is scoring. And when it comes to visitors, so what exactly this visitor filter will be of help? So when it comes to visitors, yes, the scoring is used to rate an activity. So let us say you have sent an email to the prospect. Now, when the prospect opens the email, you rate him. So you can get to see there is a rating for customer redirect clicks. There is 5 points. Now there is email open, you have assigned 10 points. Now file access, you got 3 points for them. So now you got to see, so landing page. So if they are viewing or if they are performing any of these actions, you are providing them a rating. Now why you are rating them? Based on this rating, you will have a score for your prospect, and based on your score, you will be targeting your prospects. If it is less score, you can target them in a different way. If they are having high tractions with your content, let us say there are 10 prospects and you are mailing them, you are sending them emails every week. Now, at the end of the month, out of 10, 4 contacts or 4 prospects are highly engaged with your content. Now, how you will arrive that, okay, 4 prospects are highly engaged? Because every time you send the email, they open that. Every time they you send the email, they click the URL. So whatever marketing content or file or forms you provide them, they fill and they submit it. Now, in that way, they are highly engaged. Now, other 6 prospects, now out of other 6, the 3 prospects are moderate interacting. They open the email, but they don't click on any URL. Now, other 3, they never open the email at all. Now you're getting to see the scenario here. So under automation setting, the second subsection is the visitor filters. Now, when you go to automation, so you got to see the visitor filters here. Now, the question is, what is the use of visitor filters? How it impacts? Now, what a visitor filter is, it is used to exclude visits, clicks, or other actions from a campaign results or email notifications. Now, what do you mean by that? I will let you know in a minute. And why you need it? So email clicks and click-through rates of Pardot reports will show activities that is more likely to be associated with human interactions. Now, with visitor filters on, your reporting section will list more of human interaction. Now, what is the advantage with visitor filters? So it improves the accuracy of your report and other engagements. Now, let us take a step back and understand a scenario here. Now, take an example. As a marketer, you have got an agency, you have made a business with an agency who said that, okay, they will get the prospects for you, and this is the cost involved with the prospect. Now, they are all highly qualified prospects. The quality prospect I will get you. So they will promise you that they will get a quality prospects, and they will also show you the reports, but you don't know what's happening in the back end.
Just a quick info, guys. Intellipaat provides Salesforce online training mentored by industry experts. The course link is given in the description below. Now, let's continue with the session.
Now, what they might do is they may skew the report on the Pardot. Now, how? They can send an email to their internal employees and ask them to do what? Ask them to click, ask them to do engagement, ask them to download. Correct? Now, as a client, what you can do is you can always block those ISPs or IPs and domains who you wanted or you doubt, or who are from your internal company or internal team members. You're getting the point. So let us say internally in your company, you got 100 or 200 or 500 members. Now you're doing a testing. Now you are sending the emails. Now you don't want them to, if they do any action, so you don't want them to be captured on the Pardot instance. Now you can always make use of these visitor filters.
Yeah.
Now you got to see what it is, why it is, and what is the advantage. So with visitor filters, what the advantage you are getting? So why it is? So it will be like, in other case, so okay, I forgot to tell you. So in other instance, it can be artificial. There might be a program, there might be a bot who has installed or who is developed to perform some activities. You're getting the point? So in such scenario, you can avoid them, so that when you avoid using visitor filters, you can always, the reports or output you are getting, which will be more likely human than machine controlled. So let us see visitors, how we can do it. A filter goes into effect when it is created. Okay, so only when you create that, so it will be used, and apart from that, it works only on a new visitor, and it is not going to impact any earlier visitor. Fine. And Pardot account contains system generated filters. Now these system generated, which are by default will be available for you, will be prefixed with PDSYS. Pardot system generated filters. So I will show you how it looks like, and where we can create custom filters also. And filtering by host name filters only the domain of the visitor's host name, not the prospect's entire email address. So this was what I was talking about. And so filter don't work on unsubscribe link clicks in email. If a bot or an email security scanner clicks, so that means, let us say if a customer is clicking on unsubscription, then the filter will not work. it will capture that unsubscription request. That means it will neglect that filter and it will capture the unsubscription request. And at last, we got Pardot doesn't filter prospects that are associated with an IP address or host name before the filter was created. Yes. So if any activity has already been done and if it is the reports are already been captured, then now you create a filter. So it is not going to impact the report for the previous or historic data. So now we will move ahead with the next section under admin, that is Pardot Connectors. So what is the use of Pardot Connectors? So probably you have already heard about Pardot Connectors in Marketing Cloud as well as CRM. So when you wanted to connect, so we need to have a package managed packages which need to be installed, which need to be connected. Now this Pardot connector which I am talking about is with connecting with other part, that is third-party servers. Now the question is why you need a third party? Why you want to connect with third party? Now because that is where all your prospects or new prospects are coming in. Correct. So what you are getting from the Salesforce connector, from the CRM, so they're all leads or contacts whom you have captured from your channels, which you are moving onto the Pardot, correct? Now let us say you wanted to target from social media. So you are having a social media business account. Take an example, Facebook. So as a marketer, you got your Facebook, business Facebook, or you got your LinkedIn, business LinkedIn account. Now there are a lot of visitors coming to your Facebook or LinkedIn account, correct? Now, if it is a profession, they will always be coming to your LinkedIn account. Now, there might be hundreds and thousands of visitors every day, every month. Now, you wanted to encash. You wanted to, anyone who clicks on a link or a like button, no, you wanted to track them. You wanted to follow them because anyone who is following you on business LinkedIn, you wanted to convert them. So that is what exactly the prospect is or Pardot is meant for, correct? So following the lead. Now, where your lead is coming from, one is Salesforce CRM, the other one is the external sources. So what these external sources are? All these third-party servers. Now, all these third-party players. Now, it becomes very a business requirement for me to connect to them. Okay. Now you're getting the picture here. I hope, yeah. So when it comes to connect, so what a connector is, so it will allow you to connect with a third-party application or a CRM. For example, CRM system or Google AdWords. Now, why you need it? So probably I just gave you a reason why you want to go for it. So data can be passed back between the applications and user managed formally. So to get the prospects. Now, what is the advantage here? You are saving the time to make prospects profile complete and up to date and less manual data handling and better quality and governance. So probably all much more than that. Probably when I talk about advantage, there are a lot of advantages. Consider that you got a lead from your CRM. Take an example. I'm giving an example here. You got a lead from your CRM and his address is abc@msn.com. Now, he has got his first name and last name. That's it from the sales CRM. Now, you wanted to make a profile of that lead. You wanted to complete the picture of that lead. You wanted to build a persona of that lead. Now, you will start expanding your horizon. So, you wanted to start looking in the web or online. So where this guy has got his digital footprint, he might be on LinkedIn, he might be on Facebook, he might be on YouTube, he might be on any other application, or he might be using some other apps. So he will be having digital footprint, correct? Probably we need to collect the information so that we can build a persona of that guy and we start better targeting them. And at the end of the day, what is the goal? Converting. So what is the profit we are getting? Now we are getting quality lead. So let us check on what are the connectors which are available. So there are more than this, but these are the basic ones at Tracy. Because if you go to live instance, there might be, it's all customized based on the editions and based on which package you are going for. And these add-ons can be available. So I'm just showing you what are the availables from my instance here. So we got Salesforce.com connector. So that is basic one. So which we can always connect like for webinars. So we got WebEx, ReadyText, ReadyTalk, GoToWeb, webinar, other connectors like Google Ads, Google Analytics, Twilio, Bitly, then Olark, Use Voice, then social media connectors like AdThis, LinkedIn, then event connectors, Eventbrite, so video connectors, Wistia, So social posting like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. So there are a lot of other connectors which are available on Pardot. So as I said, the basic requirement or need is to create a prospects persona. Now, to complete that persona, we need as much information as possible, which we can always look outside, and we can bring them in, and we can fulfill our persona or complete our persona and enrich our data and quality data. We can always move down them in the sales funnel. Yeah. Okay. So let me move on to the next one. So where exactly you can get to see the connectors here. So when you go to the admin, so on the third in the row, so you got connectors here. And when you go into that, so this is how the interface look like. And if you want to go for connecting with any connector, so you got add connector button where you can click on, and it will take you to the connection option. So when you go to the connection option, so these are all how it looks like. So to create a connector. So like webinar, other connector, social media, event, video, social posting. So all these options, they're all paid versions. Like when I say paid, you can get them enabled by paying a cost. So they all, each of them, they cost you. Or as a client, you need to make the payment to get them enabled here so that you can always get them connected and get your prospects. Now let us understand now social posting. I'm just trying to make you understand a couple of them. So how exactly we can rely on and how exactly we can make use of them. So let us say if there is a social posting. So client can create as many social connections as possible. Now, what do you mean by this? Now that means, so let me go back to the previous section. So social posting, I can have a Facebook, Twitter, or a LinkedIn. Now take an example. You wanted to connect to a Facebook account. Now, if your business has got 10 different Facebook business accounts, you can connect with all the 10 Facebook business accounts. I'm just giving an example. You are a car manufacturer and you got 10 different brands of car. And for each of the car, you got a Facebook account.
Okay.
So you can always connect them. So that is what the option they have given. So they can create as many social posting connectors they want. So this social posting character limit. So whenever there is a post, so there is a limit for characters. So Facebook, they got 4,000. LinkedIn, they got 700. And Twitter, they got 140 character limit when they do the posting on these social accounts.
Okay.
And the LinkedIn social posting connector support individual and company, but not the group. We got an understanding here? Okay. So disable auto posting. Let us say what you mean by this. Let us say you got an inbuilt option wherein any posting you wanted to do, you hired a agency who wanted to perform an advertisement on behalf of you, and they will do the posting on 5 of your social media channels. So I take an example: LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Telegram. Now they're all interconnected. The moment the post is done on Twitter, it will be automatically posted on Facebook, Twitter, and Telegram. Now, if that is the case, then they always suggest don't go for it. Always disable that auto posting and do an individual posting so that it can be tracked by Pardot. Now, when you perform the connection, so that means your social account, Facebook or a Twitter account, is connected directly with the Pardot. So whenever you post an image on your Facebook account, so it's a social posting, correct? So you are performing that. So they are limiting that post characters. That's what they're saying. So if you are having a story being told on Facebook about a product, now there shouldn't be more than 400, without which they cannot track it. So these are all the key points or key notes you need to keep in mind when you are going for a connector tracing. Yep.
Okay.
So if Facebook account is configured to automatically post, so this was the one which I just gave an example. So if Facebook account is configured to post a Twitter, disconnect the account and then set up separate connectors for Facebook and Twitter. So I just gave an example, like there are 3 or 4 social media channels on which automatic posting is being done. Once it is done on one post or one account, so automatically it is getting posted automatically. So the word automatically is important. Now, if it is interconnected to post the same image or paragraph or a story, then Pardot says, please do not practice that. Have a individual posting so that it can be tracked by Pardot. Yeah. So Pardot tracks only links that begin with HTTP and HTTPS. So probably your points are very valid now. You got a clear understanding. And whenever you do the posting, clearly there should be minimum at least 3 words. And to make sure images are saved and loaded, remove spaces from the file name and use dashes or underscores. So this is the requirement. If the image size limit is 3 MB for Twitter. So these are a couple of points we need to keep in mind so that Pardot can do its job. Okay. So this is about social posting. Okay. Now there are a couple of things. Okay. Social network sometimes rejects reposts because they look duplicates. So when this happens, the failed social post table is updated with a message and explanation. So try posting the message again and later. So that means whenever you do the social posting, it might be read by the Pardot as a duplicate. So probably it might have already read it and due to the cookie, and it is said it might consider that it is a duplication and it might not track any tractions or activity from the second posting. So in that case, you might get a explanation or a notification. So when it happens, try to repost it so that you will start registering the activities. So when it comes to Google Analytics, the Google Analytics connector enables Google UTM parameters tracking so that client can track the performance of each specific PPC campaigns and other tracked links. So pay per click. So all these things can be tracked if you've got a Google Analytics connector with Pardot. So just trying to give an example here. So okay. So Wistia connector. So what is the use of it with Wistia connector? Client can track the amount of time that a prospect views client's posted videos. So usually this is for video tracking, video streaming, and score them accordingly. If they are spending more time on this particular client and the videos and engaging them, so they will always be tracked and they will be rated or scored. So client can also acquire new prospect via video views as it syncs directly into the Pardot and create new prospects. So let us say you got an embedded video in Wistia and it is being played, and that user forward that video link to somebody else, and that somebody else is not at all on the Pardot. Now when it starts playing, or when the visitor or a new guy start playing that, so they can always start collecting their information in the back end, and it can be created as a new prospect on the Pardot. So probably you might say that, okay, it is illegal to do that, but it will be done in a legal way with their consent taken. Fine. Okay. So LinkedIn connector. So there are a couple of things we need to keep in mind. Pardot has 2 separate LinkedIn connectors, one for prospects and company analysis and other for social posting. So use the LinkedIn social media connector as it allows client to quickly jump to the LinkedIn result for prospect of their company. So probably this is where it all becomes very important for us to connect with the LinkedIn. So where it will be checking for email address of the prospect, and if they come to happen, or if they come to see that there is a individual account with that email address, the profiling will be start doing. And if there is a company attached to it, so it's always an added bonus. And in essence, in a LinkedIn social media connector, let's client view LinkedIn profile of prospects based on their email address. Yeah, I just covered that part. And once the connector is set up, client will be able to click on the LinkedIn icon on the prospect's profile to launch a new window with their LinkedIn information. That means the moment a prospect in Pardot is connected with their LinkedIn profile, a logo or an icon will appear in front of that prospect, a LinkedIn icon. When they click on it, it will directly take them to their LinkedIn profile directly. Yeah. So what is the use of GoToWebinar connector? So allows you to track the recorded webinars. The connector syncs standard webcast and recorded webinars types with Pardot prospects so that client can see within the account whether a prospect has registered, even if the client used the GoToWebinar form instead of Pardot form. So you can create events or run events using Pardot campaigns, calendar. But if you got the GoToWebinar connected, we can always, so what as a client, what you can do, you can always create an event or a webinar session or a workshop session on GoToWebinar and pass that information to your group of network people or group of members. And when there is a traction with that event, so you can always track them, how many people gave their consent to attend the session. So how many people registered for it, how many are attending it, so how many got engaged, how many are passing that to their secondary network. Now all these things can be collected. So that was about webinar. Now the last session is, now once you get to see all these social connections, or you have done all the connectors, where to get the reports, correct? So we need to see the report, right? Now all this reporting will be done under reporting section. You got the connected app section, a separate connected app section where you will get to see the paid search, that is for Google AdWords, then site search analytics, then social, webinars. So under these sections, you will get to see the reports for each of those connectors. Fine. Okay. Okay. Now this is where when you land up in the social message, now you can see that here. When you go to reports, connected apps, and social button, when you click on this, this is where it will take you, where it can see the message, the clicks, the likes, the comments are sent it. So this information will be produced on the Pardot side. Yep. So when it comes to grading, Pardot allows a marketer to grade their prospects so that to know whether they match their ideal target prospect. Now let us say, take an example, you wanted to target a set of customers who meet your criteria. Now you should be from a particular company, or you should be doing some 10-15 activities, or he should always open my email, and he should be holding a position of an account manager or a position of a director. So this is your customer profile or your ideal customer profile, correct? Now in that case, you wanted to know whether the prospects you are exploring from Pardot meeting this criteria or not. Because when we do the scoring, so scoring is always to know how active they are and how they are engaging with your content. But when it comes to grading, here you will want to know. So this is your requirement. As a marketer, it is my requirement to know from those scores or from those prospects pool, how many can suit my requirement. Because I, as a marketer, got a product which is more suitable for managers rather than production employees. Take an example, I got an Excel app application developed, which will ease in the manual hour for, let us say, if it is 10 hours taking, so you can reduce that to 2-3 hours. So that is an add-on application you have built for Excel users. Now, who are all these Excel users? Take an example, it's manager and above or lead and above. So in a company, it might be a back-end admin guy, correct? Now, your ideal prospect is a guy who does a back-end work in a bank or in a sales team or in a service sector, and who always make use of more and more Excel sheets to perform his activity. And you wanted to target only those prospects. Now you have built, or you are required, you can build a ideal customer or a prospect profile, and you can always check how many of your pool or prospect pool match that criteria. So that is where grading becomes important as a Pardot user. Now, why? So grades are useful to assign or align sales and marketing on lead quality. That's what, as a marketer, from a marketer prospect of view, I want to align the sales and marketing so that I get good quality lead. So how it can be done? So grades are based on different actors and information prospects supply, but about themselves. Most importantly, grades are useful to assign or align sales and marketing on lead quality. Okay. So the first point, if you consider, so it's all based on what all the information the prospect is providing. So let us say, what is his position? So what is the nature of job he works? And what is the activity on which he spends more time on doing over and over he does. Now you need to ask all these questions in your communication content so that you catch up all those information and build a customer persona and match up whether these prospects are meeting your ideal target group. Okay, so let me take an example of, now you wanted to market a software. So let us come from the view of a healthcare sector. Now this software is most oftenly is useful while managing the patient's database. Now sitting in a corner of your office, now you wanted to manage the entire patients. So let us say there are 1,000 or 200 millions, 200 million patients all over the globe, and you wanted to manage their profile, all your patients' profile. Now you need, so being a health industry, being in the health industry, you got chain of health sector all over the globe, and you wanted to route all your patients' details to one server so that it can be accessed by all other doctors or medical healthcare staffs. Now, as a marketer, you have built a very advanced software which helps in collecting of patients' detail and segregating them depending on their nature of illness and history of treatment and the course they are undergoing. Now, that's a wonderful software to have. Now, you wanted to market this product. Now, you took the help of Pardot. Now, whom you will be targeting? We are not targeting any manufacturing industry here. We are not targeting any tourists here or travel industry here or any other industry. It's only healthcare sector. Now, the basic idea is you will be looking for a prospect who is from healthcare background. That is the first criteria, correct? Now, second one. Now, you cannot sell this product to a guy who is a doctor or who is working as a nurse or a supporting employee in a clinic or in a nursing home or in a old age home. Now, whom you need to target? You need to target the prospects who are in a level where they hold a very important position of a decision maker or an influencer. Now, who can that be? It can be a manager from the floor who knows what the problem is and what the problem they are facing and they want a solution for it. Or it can be directors or board of directors, or who can be a owner himself, healthcare sector. Now, that is your ideal prospect. There is a grade. That's an ideal prospect you have created for yourself. Now, when you start sending your marketing content, so what you are going to do, you are going to start asking them a couple of questions to know what background they are from, what position they are holding at that industry, and what is that influence they got. Now, it can be from any source. It can be from Facebook. It can be from LinkedIn. It can be from their social accounts. Now, it's in all legal way where you start building the persona of a prospect. Now, when you're looking at the prospect's persona, you will match up with your ideal persona or ideal prospect profile. Now, does this match it? No, you will drop it. If you match him, you continue to target them indifferently. Take a basic example. Now, first match. Now, he is from a health sector. It is matched. Now, I will go one step further. Now, what is the position he is holding? He's a doctor. Probably he might be a guy whom I can trust. Now, we can go for it. Now, he is an MD in a medical equipment manufacturing industry. Now, probably I don't need him because he is in a medical equipment manufacturing, where my interest is not there. Now, I will go for a guy who is managing an hotel or managing a hospital or a health sector or a clinic or a nursing home. Now you are getting to sync that. You are getting the clarity. No, this is how you can grade a prospect who can be of beneficial to you. So when it comes to scoring, that's what the next slide talks about. So when it comes to grading, so you can grade them differently depending on how much match they are doing with my ideal prospect. So usually this is the grading metrics they provide. So like A plus, A grade, that is A minus, or B plus, B minus, C plus, C minus, D plus, D minus, and F, that is 4. And on the other side, all Pardot accounts come with a default profile setting, which measures something like this, depending on the criteria, like what is the company size, what is the industry, what is the location, job title, department. So probably these all, so you can sync now. So you can just align that with the example I just gave. Yep, makes sense? Okay. So 2 to 3 letter grades. So it can be A plus or A minus or something depending on your requirement. So 2 to 3. So it is not 2 by 3. So it's 2 to 3 letter grades. So you can assign. So if the company size, you can always say that, okay, if the company size is 1,000 to 5,000, so what is the grade you are giving? So if the company size exceeds 10 plus thousand, so let us say there is a director who is managing a company size of 5,000. So their requirement might be different, correct? So let us consider a nursing home where the patient size or number of outpatients or inpatients differ. Now let us say if inpatient size or the number of beds they are managing is 500 plus, that means it's quite a number of bed or patients they are managing. Now if it is 15, 20, 25, probably this software may not be of helpful, because this software cost probably up to $10 million or let us say $1 million to them. Now, if they have having a revenue, if they have a sufficient budget allocated, absolutely they can go for this software, which will be of beneficial to them, which can be a great technological help to them. Now, whom you need to target? A global health sector, which is managing their franchise all over the globe. Let us take an example, Apollo Zurich. Now they got their location or franchise or their branches all over the globe, where they have got centralized budget where they allocate lots of fund to manage or upkeep themselves. Now you're getting the point. So that is where you assign the rating or gradings. So even for each category, you will have different gradings so that your ideal prospect match will sync. Now, let us say if a company size, your ideal company size is 10,000 plus. Okay. So 10,000 to 12,000 is the company size you are looking for. Yeah. Now, even if it is company size is less than 10,000, are you going to lose them? Do you want to lose them? No, I don't. Yeah. I don't want to. So what I will do is, if it is company size is less than 10,000 also, I will assign a rating as A minus. Now, if the company size is, ideal company size is 10 to 12,000, I will assign a rating as A. And if it is beyond 12,000, I will assign a rating as A plus, because all these three, yes, suits my requirement. I can go for it. Still, I can go for it. Now you got the point. So yeah, for one criteria, you can assign 2 to 3 grades so that you don't miss out, because they might be matching some other criteria. Let us say it is below 10,000, you have assigned a grade of A minus, and he might be the very best suit for your ideal prospect, because he comes from healthcare industry. He is a owner of a nursing home where they got 500 plus beds. Now he is matching my second criteria. Or he might be having a job title. Now let us say he's a board of directors, so he is one among them, or he is the whole and sole owner of that firm, or he might be a managing director, or he might be a CEO.
Just a quick info, guys. Intellipaat provides Salesforce online training mentored by industry experts. The course link is given in the description below. Now, let's continue with the session.
Job title. If you take an example of a job title, there can be 3 types of titles which I am looking at. One is members, board of directors, and MD, and also chief executive officer, or it can be a chief financial officer. Now, whom I am targeting. So in that case, I need to give 3 or 4 ratings. Probably 2 to 3. I can go beyond that, and also I can assign a 4th rating. So if this is my ideal rating or ideal grading. So even if this suits you or suit the prospect's persona, just pick him up. Now, so just to moving on. So just to get a clarity between the scoring versus grading. So probably by now you got to see what is the grading and about the scoring. So scoring is all about to check how interested a prospect is in my content or in my brand. Correct? Now on the other side, so when I say grading, it is how the marketer should look into his prospects, because when it comes to scoring, I will be checking their activities, how engaged they are with my content. Correct? So it is the prospect's interest in my content. That's what I wanted to draw you to. Now on the other side, when it comes to grading, it is me who is interested in the prospect. As a marketer, how much I am interested or drawn towards that prospect. So it's all based on what score, what grading he has got, not the score, what grading he has got. Now, when it comes to scoring, it's all about numbers. So points, so probably. So when it comes to grading, so it's all alphabets based on the alphabetical gradings I have assigned. So if he match my ideal target profile, then he will be assigned with a grade. So, okay. Now the next thing is creating an ideal profile. so which you think a prospect should have. So create a customer marketing profile with all the conditions which marketer think is an ideal prospect. So points to consider here is the criteria, the grading profile, and grade adjustment automation rules. So probably let me check on this. Yeah. So I just gave you an example here. So this is how we can make a list and assign the grading, and we can use it. So let us say the first criteria value was strong match. So you can give a rating. And second criteria value is a weak match. So you can give it as a C+. So first criteria value was a weak match. Then you can give D+. Then second criteria value is a good match. So you can give it as a C. So from D+, it will move on to C. Then if you look at the third one here, the first criteria value was a good match. Then it might be a C-. And second criteria value is a no match, then there cannot be any change. So probably you can make a list of criteria and assign a grading, and also you can have your own match fixing. So like matching options. So if it is annual revenue is 5 lakh and above, so it is a strong. So if the location is UK, so you can go for a strong, so where the rating will be B. And industry, if it is agriculture, if industry marketing, if it is industry is manufacturing. So probably based on your requirement, you can always set up this profile, which you can use it to match with the prospects. Probably this condition or example might be confusing. So try to understand that, otherwise no problem. So probably the last 2 slides, so you had a clarity. So this just to create your own ideal profile. So what work you can perform. So when a prospect matches a profile criteria, the grade increases by the amount specified in the prospect assigned profile. So these are all the points we can keep in mind. So apart from that, when a prospect doesn't match a profile criteria, the grade decreases by the amount specified in the prospect's assigned profile. Now, if you want to look back, let me go back here so that you can take a good look into it. So this is where it's all boils down. So when I'm saying how to create the ideal prospect, so these 3 points are very important. So you need to look at the criteria, the grading profiles, and also grade adjustment automation rules. So when you're going for a criteria, so you can all look for the criteria. So what is the criteria you are looking at? And when it's got to grading profile, so it can be strong, weak. So you can have a match. So if it is A+, you can say a strong match. So if it is A, it is good match. So if it is A-, it is a weak match, but it is good. So it is not like A- is very bad. So you can adjust your automation. So that is what it is being captured here. So when I say, so how you wanted to create your ideal prospect. So probably it takes a little bit of math for us to arrive at a formula. So you can always work on it, considering the requirement from the market here. So when you are going for a grading, so there are these are a couple of points which we always should keep in mind. So like they are assigned with a grading of D by default. So marketers, as a marketer or as a user, you can always change the profile criteria on the prospects. And when a prospect matches the profile criteria, when I'm saying profile criteria, so this is our ideal criteria. So when a prospect match your ideal criteria, their grade automatically increases. And when they don't match, automatically the grade decreases. So that's what it indicates. And a marketer can use automation rules to match and not match the criteria. So let us say you got 5 different conditions. Yeah. Now, out of 5, if 3 are matched, now what is the criteria you want? What is the grade you want to give? So there is the automation rule. Now, out of 5 conditions, if only 2 are met and 3 are not met, what is the grading you want to give? Now it's a kind of a permutation you can have to assign a grade to a prospect. So editing profile criteria causes the associated prospects to regrade. Now what do you mean by this? Let us say you have already designed what an ideal prospect should look like, and you also have already got 100 prospects meeting that criteria. Now you wanted to tweak one element from your ideal prospect. The moment you tweak it, out of 100, there might be only 60 prospects who meet the criteria then. Or it might be 500 prospects who is meeting the criteria. Why? Because you tweaked a component for your ideal prospect. You're getting the point? So it will always impact the grading in real time. Yeah. So Pardot user can't rename or delete the default profile. So that is a bottom line when it comes to Pardot. So these are all the key points we can keep in mind when we are performing the grading. So this is just a theoretical representation of grading, what we perform, what we can perform on the Pardot side, Tracy. Okay. So now, so we discussed about connectors, where we can connect with different CRM options or CRM applications. Now, for that, you need to go inside admin and click on add connector option. So when you go for add connector, so we'll be getting the option here, correct? So now when you wanted to add, so you can always click on LinkedIn here, and when you or Twitter there, and when you click on add button, so you will have an option where you can insert your Twitter username and click on save connector. The moment you do that, so your verification or your Twitter account will get added and you will have a verify option. So when you click on verify now, you will have a verification button, CTA button here. Click on verify connector. So you will get an option to access or authorize Pardot to access your Twitter account. So you need to authorize your app. So once you authorize it, it will be verified and it will be green ticked. So with this, your Twitter account or your business Twitter account, or it can be your individual or client's Twitter account, is now connected with Pardot. Why the question happened was there was a slide where I told that, okay, you can do postings, correct? You can do Facebook posting, you can do Twitter posting or LinkedIn posting, correct? Yes, of course, you can do that. Now, where exactly you can do that? Under marketing, you have a section called as a social. So when you go inside that, you have scheduled social message, sent social message, failed social message. 3 subsections will be present. Now, under this subsection, there is in the right side top corner, you can see a new social post button. So if you click on new social button, so you will get an option to share your posting. Okay, so before I show you the social post, let me take you through LinkedIn connector, and also we'll get to see how we can do it. Now to connect with LinkedIn, again, the same option, go to admin, click on add connector, click on LinkedIn connector here. It will ask you to create the connector. Then your connector is available for LinkedIn. Now you need to verify that. So when you click on verify now, so you will get an option called as verify connector. When you click on this, that is when it will take you to a login page. So when you reach this page, you need to provide your LinkedIn username and password and click on sign in. Now, when you click on that, it will ask you to authorize the Pardot, and the moment it is authorized, so you will get a confirmation connector authenticated, and your LinkedIn is connected with the Pardot, and you will have a green tick. Now, once this is done, what you can do, you can always go to reporting section. Under reporting section, you can go to connected apps, and under connected apps, you can go to social, where you can get to see the reports. So this is about reporting. I'm sorry. So this is about reporting. So if you want to see the report, where exactly you can go for your reports on social posting. Now, how to do the posting? So you can do that under marketing, go to social message, click on new social post. And when you click on that, you'll have this section where on the left-hand column, it will ask you to select what post you want to make, on what social account you want to make a post. Now I got my Twitter and LinkedIn connected. So I can select any one of them, and you can insert your message here. You can also insert link. You can attach a message image, and you can click on send now. Immediately, whatever message you have created here, it will get posted on your LinkedIn or whatever social channel you have selected. Otherwise, you can always go for scheduling. So when you go for scheduling, you will have a schedule option on a particular date and time you have chosen. Your post will be, or your message will be posted on your account. So when it comes to configuring the fields, so you need to look out for admin, go for configure fields section, and here you will get to see 3 subsections: account fields, opportunity fields, and prospect fields. Now you might be surprised to see why there is an account field and opportunity field and where it is getting them from. And there is prospect field also. Now this account field and opportunity field, they're absolutely correct. You might be thinking that it might be from the CRM. Yes, they are from the CRM side, because that is where you have account object and opportunity object. Fine. Now, when you go inside the configuring account fields for accounts, so you'll get to see all these fields which are already enabled for my sandbox instance. So they are all from the CRM account object. Fine. Okay. Now, if you want to add a new value, or add a new field, you can always click on this add custom field here, and it will take you here. Okay, sorry. So I will come back to that later. So this is with respect to the account field, and for the opportunity field, I don't have any opportunity field synced with Pardot. So you can always do that by clicking on add custom field option. And when you click on add custom field option, this is the section it will be taking you to. So where you can insert a name, the type of data you are allowing to capture, custom field ID, and Salesforce field name, and other checkboxes like required and display multiple responses. Then use predefined values like checkbox, radio button, drop down menus. So this is probably from the CRM side. Now, when you want to add any custom field, you can click on. So this is for opportunity and account. So you can always click on add button. It will take you to this section. And when you open this custom or type of the field, you'll get to see like text, number, date, radio button, checkbox. So these are all the options or field values or data values you can upload. And apart from that, when you go inside salesforce.com fields, so you'll get to see all the Salesforce opportunity object fields, which is being synced with this Pardot instance. So this is the same way in which you can also get to see the fields from account object on field creation. Okay. Now, the last section under fields is the prospect fields. So when you go to prospects fields UI, so you'll get to see the custom fields on the top and the default fields, which are all provided by the Pardot. So you can always create custom fields, you can assign them and you can use them. And you can also make use of default fields from the Pardot. Okay. So this is about fields. Next, we'll talk about objects. So when it comes to custom objects, so let us see what custom object is. Now it enables to extend the Salesforce data model with custom objects from Pardot. So that means you can create a custom object on Pardot, sync that with a custom object or a standard object on Salesforce, and it will be an extension of data. So where you can fetch them from CRM and you can use it for different purposes. So let us see why. So custom objects, when synced with CRM, data can be used to create dynamic lists or automation rules or segmentation, because those data might not be available on your account or a lead or a contact object. So let me give you how part of it. So to use a custom data object in email, user need to create a formula or lookup field on the lead or a contact object that pulls the data from the custom object. So that's a definition. And Pardot account with advanced edition, we can have up to 4 custom objects. So we can create up to 4 custom objects, but we can create multiple fields. So for creating a field, we don't have a limit, but to create custom object, we have a limit. If you want to go beyond that number, it will always a cost addition to it. So there is it will attract a cost. Okay. Now I was talking about this example. Take a scenario where you wanted to target your prospects based on their account or company. Now you got their email address, and most of their email address have got their account's domain name. Now it can be Dell.com or it can be like Accenture.com or Capgemini. Now you want to target them because they are all from they are all from an account. They are all tied up with one single account. But you don't get to see that. You don't get to work on that. Unlike, or if an account object is synced with Pardot and you map all your prospects based on the account. In that case, what you can do, you custom create an object on Pardot, sync that custom object with an account object on the CRM. get the relevant values or fields synced, and you can always use a lookup field so that your prospects are being matched with the account details and you extract them for targeting purpose. Does that make sense? I'm just giving an example here so that you can understand. So how we can make use of the custom object. So in the next slide, we'll talk about where exactly we can find a custom object option. So go to admin, go to custom objects here, and you will have an option to add custom object. You can get to see there is already a warning. Why? Because for sandbox they have given a limit as one custom object. So probably there's a limitation here with a sandbox. And when you click on that, so you'll have a CRM object you can map it with. So it can be an asset object, or it can be case object, or any other object. So don't worry about all these objects, because you might be surprised. Now these are all informal objects, so I don't get to see them. So these are all objects which our users has created. Okay, so for testing purpose. Fine. Okay, so then you can select a object name from CRM, whichever CRM with which you have synced your Pardot instance. Display name, then plural display name, display field. So you can also get to see that. So when you open the display field, so you can get to see those values like asset provided by, asset service by ID. So all these options are available. Then click on create object here. So once you've done that, so your object will be created. So where you will get to see the name, then the plural name here, display field, the asset provided by, then CRM object. So name. So in this way, you can always create your object. Then you can always go for selecting configure fields or edit fields or delete. Now, configure fields is a little bit important for us. That is where you will establish the syncing of different fields from this CRM object. Now, when you click on configure fields, it will take you to this section where it will show you all the assets or fields from asset object on CRM, and you can display. So which one you want to display, which one you don't want on the Pardot side. Fine. So now we'll move on to the export section. So let us start with the export part. So when it comes to export, so what this part is all about. So what this section is used for, this section is used to download any files which we try to, or as an user, we try to download from different sections. So we'll visit them and we will get to see what they are and why we need this export part. So user want to export a data which can be a small size, then it can be downloaded directly. But if it is a huge file, let us say you are downloading prospect file, which is kind of the size is very huge, and also you are downloading custom fields, which makes it more than 50 MB or 100 MB. So probably if the size is more, then Pardot takes its own time to get them or collect them together and bundle them in a CSV file. Now it might take hours together because all this information might be collected even from other parts. Now hence, when we are downloading smaller files, we can download it directly to our local drive, or if it is a large data which a user trying to download, it will not allow us to download directly, but a file will be created under export, which we can always access and we can download it. So once the download is completed, a notification will be sent to the user saying that, okay, your file is now ready to download, and you can always access this export section and download the relevant data from your Pardot instance. Now let us see how we can do it. So let us say you wanted to download the prospects. Now you visit the prospects, and under tools, when you open the drop down, you will get to see the CSV and CSV, custom CSV exports. Now, if you want to download them, so even if you go to prospects and email, so here there are a lot of sections where you can get your tools section. Go to the tools section and you have an export option, but you don't have an option where you can download it or upload it onto an SFTP. So you do have a download or export them to a list or add them to a list, reset tables, print, but you don't have an option to move the file or prospects onto a SFTP. So now when you click on download, so CSV or export, if it is a very small file, so you will have a pop-up wherein you can directly download it to your local drive. Fine? Yeah. Now, if you want to download a huge file and when you click on download, so it will always be available under admin under export section. So when you go to the export section, so this is where it will all take you to. So this is the option. So where you will have CSV exports and API exports. Now we'll come to that. What do you mean by an API export? But when it comes to CSV exports, whatever CSV file you have downloaded, so it will all be available here in this section. So you can see the download option and it will allow you to download it only once. So sorry, when I say download option is there, so there will be an expiry. Now after which you may not be able to download them. So you can see there are rows, the number of rows for this file which you have downloaded, and the status, it is completed, expired, yes or no, created by, here you will be having the username. So when it is created and the download option. So if it is not expired, so probably they will be fixing up 60 days as expiry. So after which, so you can have this expiry date as for 30 days or 60 days or 90 days. Yeah, it needs to be done by the Pardot executive from the Pardot support team. Now, when it comes to the export button here, we got a CSV export and API export. So use the API export to retrieve large sets of data when they don't need a synchronous completion, when query limitations are too restrictive. The API export provides a way to retrieve large volume of data from Pardot. It uses the existing API structure and pattern. So probably this option is not available on our sandbox login. So if you want to enable this API export option, so you need to have a prospect, visitors and view option enabled. So not everyone or every Pardot instance will be enabled with this view option, but usually it will be prospects and visitors. But if you have a view ability, then you can use API export options, where it will be like downloading it through the API calls. Yes. So these two options are available under export section. Now to talk about the import session or import section on admin, this allows a user to upload prospects into Pardot. Now these prospects might be from external source, or you might have downloaded them from your CRM or from your third-party vendor. Fine. Now, if I say why I need to upload if they are from the CRM, when I have synced it, probably when we were talking about the Salesforce integration or CRM integration with Pardot, I said that after you establish the connection, the records which are created or prospects which are created on CRM will be created on the Pardot, and existing prospects need to be uploaded one time into the Pardot. Correct? You remember that? So, and it should contain email address as well as the CRM ID. If it is coming from CRM, it will definitely have a CRM ID. It can be a lead ID or it can be a contact ID. But if it is from the external source, they might not have a CRM ID. It will have only email address. Then email address become a primary identifier. So let us see what is the process involved with that. So to access your import, go to admin, go to import section, and you will have prospect option to import. Okay. So now when you click on this get started button, now let us say when you go inside the upload option, so this is the UI it looks like. Okay. So wherein you will have 5 different tabs. So to start with, so you can see choose a file, map a field, select action, and confirm. So these are all the 5 different tabs we will be moving through. We'll get to see what they are and how they will be helpful. Then you will get to see 2 radio buttons here. You can select any one of them. Now, what is that meant for? We'll see that. Then you will have the file upload option. You can drag and drop it, or you can click on upload and it will take you to the local drive. And also you need to comply that, okay, you have read the Pardot permission-based marketing policy and you are confirming that whoever prospect you are uploading, they have agreed to receive the email. Then you can always click on next button. Now, whatever file you drop, it will be available here. You can see them here. Okay. And this section will show you the previous or historic file upload you have done. So on the same line, so there is one more option. You can see API imports. So there is a CSV import. Along with that, we do have an API import option, but we will get to see the CSV import now. So when you click on the first option, that is choose a file. So you can click on upload option and you can get the file from your local drive or drag and drop it here. When you drag and drop it, so it will show you whether once the file is completely in the temp file, so it will show you a green color. Only when it turns into a green, then you can select, say that, okay, your compliance, and click on next button. Now, so when you're going ahead with the next section, so you need to select one of them from the two options. So what is that? So if you are uploading the record for the CRM, then the first option should be selected where it says create and update prospects using Salesforce lead or a contact ID. So this is the section you need to select if you are uploading the contacts or prospects from your CRM. If not, if your file, whatever file you are uploading doesn't have a CRM ID, if it contains only email address, then this is the option you should be selecting. So create or update prospects using email address where email address becomes the unique identifier. Right? Now, when you go on to the next section, so after that, you click on next button. So here in the mapping field, so you will get to see the headers. So the first row and also the fields, which are from the Pardot default fields. So if the field name matches with the header, then they automatically get matched. If they are not, then we need to map them. So here you can see the first name, last name, they got mapped, but whereas the city, it is not mapped, and also it's a zip code which is not mapped here. So in that case, you can map it manually, and you can also say whether overwrite existing data or you wanted to retain it. So if you select overwrite existing data, whatever recent values you are uploading, they will get overwritten with the down. So you'll get to see all the default fields if you want to map them. So there are three different types of fields you will get to see for mapping. Okay. So one is the default field. The other two are custom fields and additional options. Fine. So these custom fields are the fields which are created by a user, and these default fields, they are all system generated or system created, and there is additional options, add score and assign to a user. Now, what do you mean by assign to a user?
Just a quick info, guys. Intellipaat provides Salesforce online training mentored by industry experts. The course link is given in the description below. Now, let's continue with the session.
So when you are uploading the prospects, what additional thing you can do is, as an user, as a CRM user, you want all these prospects to be assigned for a particular CRM user or owner. You can create a separate column in the CSV file saying that assign to the user and have that user name. They will all the prospects you are uploading will be assigned to that particular user. So they will now have an owner, which will help you in syncing with CRM. So there's a last option. Probably when we saw the linking or syncing logic, you got to see that it will also check for the assigned user, correct? You remember that? So because once the sync starts, so it will check for the CRM ID. If CRM ID is not there, it will go for the email address, or there it will go for the contact and the lead, and then assigned user. If the assigned user is also not there, it will be retained only in the Pardot. So this is where you can assign a user and get them created on CRM or synced with CRM. Fine. So now you can, once you complete mapping of the fields, then you can click on next button where it will take you to the selecting a campaign and a tag. Now, what is the use of campaign and tagging? This will be easy for you to extract the reports on the CRM side. Now, any prospect who has been assigned with a campaign, so that will be reflected on the campaign part on the CRM. So from the CRM, when you access a Pardot, so it will show you the campaigns which are active or archived. Now, if you want to pull a report of prospects who have been or who are all associated with a particular campaign, you can extract them by clicking on that particular campaign. So let us say for entire 2021, you are running a special seasoned campaign. for every 3 months. So this season you are running a health campaign, so or a health checkup campaign. So for next 3 months, whatever content, whatever communication you send, all are associated with the health campaign. Now after the health campaign, next 3 months you will be running a special another campaign for your prospects. So let us say you wanted to greet them. So greetings. So because they all went through your health camp and health checkup or health benefits, now they felt very happy. Now you wanted to greet them, or they wanted to extend something. So I'm just cooking up a story here. Now you can create a campaign and you can associate those campaigns to your prospects, so that when it comes to reporting, you can always pull them with respect to the campaigns they are assigned with or they are aligned with. So then you got 2 more options here. Do not change the campaign for the existing prospects, recommended. So set this campaign for all prospects. So this will override the campaign for the existing prospects. Now see, the first option which says the selected campaign will only be set for new prospects. So all the existing prospects which are all present in the system will not be assigned with the new campaign you are uploading. So when you are going for this option, it doesn't mean that existing same customer. No. So let us say you got a prospect already under your Pardot. Let us say it is ABC at yahoo.com. Now this guy is assigned with a health campaign for 2021 underscore. Let us say it is Q1. Now you are uploading XYZ, and also you are uploading ABC. And when you are uploading both of them, here you can select separate campaign. Now, when you are uploading these 2, so what you are doing is you got the same campaign and also you got a Q2 campaign here. Now you got to see. Now when you are uploading these 2 prospects, here I got a prospect who is brand new, and I also got a prospect who is already existing, and also this guy is already assigned with a campaign, correct? Now this guy is already having a campaign, but we are not uploading this campaign. I'm just assigning it. Now in this case, if you are uploading the records with existing prospect and new prospect, and you assign a new campaign to that, now what happens? Now see here. Now this is the condition. Now select a campaign will only be set for new prospects. That means this is an existing prospect who will be assigned with Q1. It will be retimed. And when you are uploading this file, which has got a new prospect, since it is a new prospect, he will be assigned with whatever new campaign you are aligning them. Yes, so it will be, it will be Q2. So if you go for the second one, set this campaign for all prospects, this will override the campaign for the existing. So in this case, if you select the second option, what happens? This will also be overwritten for Q2. You got the point? Okay, so now once you are done with the assignment of the campaigns, which is mandatory, when you are uploading a prospect, it has to be assigned or it has to be tagged with a campaign. Then click on next button. So it will go to the selection option. Now here, when you open the drop down for campaigns, so you'll get to see a lot of campaigns, you can select it. So that's what the option talks about. So when you click on select, so this is the action type or data action you want to perform. So there are almost close to 5 options available for us. First one says import prospect and add to a list. That means whatever prospects you are importing, that will all be part of the prospect pool, and also it will get you an option to select a list to which it will get imported. So 2 action happens here. You're getting the point? So when you are uploading the record, what happens? First of all, whatever prospect you are uploading, so that will get added to the prospect pool. Now, if you ask me what a prospect pool is, I will show you. So under prospects, when you go to the prospects, so there is one section called as one section where you will get to see all the prospects from the Pardot. So if you select this import, first option, it says all the prospects will be uploaded onto the pool. Again, it will get you an option to select a list to which prospects will be added. So otherwise, we got another section where it says import prospects and remove from a list. So that means what? When you upload the prospects, it will be added to the prospect pool, and also it will get removed from the list. Now you need to select a list. Yes. definitely. So where we select in the next option, it will show you. I will get to that. So it will get removed from a list in whichever list you select. Import the prospects and global opt out. Now, when exactly we can do it? So I can get you a classic example here. Take an example. You are sending the email because we had a use case on this option where one of the pharmaceutical company, they wanted to implement an engagement flow for sending the communication to their internal employees. So they got almost 50,000 plus internal employees to whom they wanted to target. So based on a category. Now, what category was? There was a custom field which used to categorize the entire 50,000 records as low users, high users, and moderate users. Okay, there was a particular service these internal employees used to use, but not many were using that option, and they wanted to bring an awareness. Okay, so they categorized them, and we wanted to send different communication to those customers. But what I will talk about this story later on also, but I will talk about why they wanted this option. Whenever we wanted to send a communication, out of 50,000 internal employees, there were board of directors, there were CEOs, CFOs, there were VPs, AVPs, whom they don't wanted to send the email. So they don't wanted them to be part of this pool. Okay. Now they got us a list of these members whom they wanted to be opted out, or whom they wanted to be suppressed. Now we went ahead and uploaded all of their email address under import prospect and global opt-out. So what that means is, even if we try 100 times from this Pardot instance, so it won't send them any kind of emails to those customers whom we have uploaded under this action. So then the fourth option is import prospects. It will upload all the prospects into the pool. Then undelete matching prospects found in the recycle bin during this import. Now this is the last option we got. Now consider a situation where you got, let us say, you got 1,000 prospects. Now out of 1,000 prospects, what we have done is you have deleted 150 prospects. Now why you wanted to delete them? For some reason you wanted to delete them, and when you delete them, all these prospects will go and get included under recycle under prospect section. I will show you on what is the prospect or recycle section is all about. So I will talk about that. Now, when these 150 records or prospects are under recycle bin, but you wanted them to be moved back into the live session, because any prospect who's under recycle will not be available for communication. It will be something like masking them, or okay, sorry, I should not be saying masking. So it is something like a reservoir which cannot be touched or which will not be available for use. Now from the reservoir, if you want to take it back, then they need to be undeleted. So if you are uploading a bunch of records whom you think are all present on recycle, you can select this option. Any prospect you uploading, if they found to be present on the recycle, they will come back, or they will come alive, something like that. Hope you got that point. Now when you have selected so here I have selected import prospect and add to a list. Since it is add to a list, the next option allow us to select a list. So either you can select a list or you can create a new list also. So when you click on choose button, so it will take you to a local drive here where you have created your folders. From the folders, you can select any one of the list to which you wanted to upload the prospects. So click on choose selected. Fine. So when you have selected that, then that list will be available. So you can see that list will be available. One item selected, then click on next button. Then here you need to make a confirmation. So it will all be like a property window. So final confirmation, where you have a confirmation button at two locations, one in the right hand top corner and also in the left side bottom. So you can click on any one of them, and by clicking on confirm button, so it will start uploading those prospects. Fine. So now there was one more option. So when we selected, I showed you that you can select. So from the beginning, so I'm talking about the choose file. When you select a file, if it is from the CRM, then it is always advised to select the first option which says create and update prospect using Salesforce lead or a contact ID, so that the matching will be done, because you are uploading the CRM ID. And when you go for matching, you will get to see that there is a field by the name. So here under field structure, so you can see there is a CRM ID, and this is the header by the name CRM ID, which you can map and you can upload them.
Okay.
And you can get to see that this CRM ID, which is a system field, don't have an overwrite option. So a couple of points with respect to this import. So there are a couple of information. The size of the import file can go up to 100 MB and not beyond that. So otherwise you can cut them and you can upload them in batch. You can break them up and you can upload them. So second point, the first row in the import file is always reserved for header, so it will be ignored during the import. Now it is must and should compulsory to have a first row or first row as header, like first name, last name, so whatever you want to specify the column to be. Then the Pardot imports the row from the top to bottom, from above, from first row, and it will go down. And if we import file as a new email address or a CRM ID, Pardot creates a prospects. So that means whatever file you are uploading, if it is not exists in the pool, then it will create that prospect in the prospect section. Import files are available for at least 60 days, up to 60 days. That means probably you got to see that under this section when I showed you. So here it will be saved for next 60 days. So that's what the point is. Then check import file doesn't include space before or after. So that means whatever file we are uploading, it shouldn't contain any file any spaces in the initial or in the end, and it might cause some technical problems. So when you are uploading, so this is a very crucial part of information. Then any valid email address will be accepted, and if the email address contains any HTML code or any raw data or any junk value, so invalid characters, it will be skipped. So entire row will be skipped. That prospect itself will not be uploaded because email address is very important. Then if you are uploading any date value, so it should be YYY, MM and DD format. Then import includes a CRM user type. If you are importing the CRM prospect fields, then include CRM ID for the Salesforce user. So let us say, just to explain this, you are uploading a prospect and he is having a field, custom field mapped with CRM field. Let us say on the CRM lead object, we are having a field by the name date of birth. Now the date of birth is a CRM field and it is not a Pardot field. Now if you are trying to upload that field, then that prospect must and should contain a CRM ID of the Salesforce user. So it must and should, that prospect must and should contain the CRM ID, because that itself specifies if he is having the CRM field and a value, that itself proves that he is from the CRM environment. So because just to avoid confusion, though both of them are coming from the CRM, since they are coming from CRM, we don't want to identify, okay, this has got a contact ID, this has got a lead ID. So that might confuse the user. So to avoid that, so we just call them as with the generic name CRM ID, which is a unique identifier. The last point is to assign prospect during import, include a header. So this is what I explained. So during mapping, I showed you there are additional fields at the bottom where you can also assign a user to the prospect. So you can create that additional header in the CSV and have the CRM user name. And when you upload along with that, so that will get tied up with the user. So whenever we are syncing the prospects between the CRM and the Pardot, so it will be one more option for syncing. So import error. So what do you mean by import error? So whenever import prospects are imported, there might be an error notification. So import confirmation email includes a link to the import error.csv. Now, whenever you upload prospects into the Pardot, after the completion of upload, a notification will be sent to your email address. If there happened an error while upload, it will get you a link. So you can click on that link, it will take you to that report where it will show you what that report is all about or error is all about. So that is what it says. So if it is an invalid email address upload, it will show you, okay, this column or this value was not uploaded because it was an invalid email address. So it can be an archived prospect. So you uploaded a record or a prospect which was present in the recycle bin. So it can be an email which is not allowed. The email address isn't allowed. Pardot rejects spammy and role-based email addresses because they look like causing spam complaints. So probably like group addresses. So usually we don't send emails or communication through group address. Let us say admin@dell.co.in or info@xyz.com. So they are all group addresses. So probably Pardot doesn't allow such a practice. So in that case, that will not be uploaded, and it will, you can find that on an error report. And also field validation failure. The imported field match the predefined value. Consider a situation. A classic example is you wanted to upload country code. Now, when you are uploading a country code, now for US, you are having US. Now for Australia, you are having AUS, but you uploaded a value AU, but you had AUS as a predefined value for Australia. Now, in that case, it doesn't meet up. Then it will, the entire prospect will not be getting uploaded. Now, it always check for what the predefined value you are given for that field. I just gave an example. It doesn't mean that, okay, it has to happen in the same way, but it should be like that. So let us say, okay, take a date example. You are uploading a date, a birth date, where the specified date format is YYY, MM, and DD. But you uploaded it as MM, DD, and YYY, which is not the predefined format. Okay, so that better explains how it validation might be a failure. Then you are not authorized to modify this prospect. So probably if, because when you are using a Pardot, so there will be different kinds of authorization done. So like sales manager, marketing, and admin. Now, if you are a sales authorized, then you were not having the authorization to work on that prospect. So in that case also, you will not be able to get the prospects uploaded. You're getting the point? So the user doesn't have the view prospect, not assigned to self permission. So probably in those cases, he doesn't have the authorization or rights to perform. It's a limited restricted access. In those cases, he may not be able to access or upload the records, and they will all be thrown out as a import error. So probably this is all about the import and import error notification. Yep. Okay, fine. So when it comes to recycle bin, so what is the use of recycle bin? So when an asset is deleted, so here important keyword is asset. So it is not only the prospect. If you have created any asset in Pardot and when you delete it, it won't get permanently deleted, but you will find them under recycle bin. Okay. Now, why? So items in recycle bin don't count towards the usage limit and including the prospect count. Now, why they have given a recycle bin? There's a point to it. So an important point is, let us say you have purchased an instance, a Pardot instance to manage a prospect count of 10,000. But day by day, your prospects count is increasing. Now it went beyond 10,000 size. Now the moment it goes beyond the manageable size from your edition, it will start sending a notification. The account manager will start receiving an email. When I say account manager, from the Pardot side. Now they will start approaching you for an enhancement or for an additional cost to manage the prospect size, because each of these editions of Pardot come with size limit 25,000, 50,000, 1 lakh above, and each of these editions will have their own advantages. Now in that case, what happens? You don't want to purchase a new edition, or you don't want to extend it, and you wanted to manage with the addition with the whatever instance you got. Now what exactly you can do is, you can always identify the prospects who are inactive and just push them into the recycle bin. which will not be counted for your limitation. Consider you got a basic edition and you are allowed to manage a prospect count of 25,000. Now you are now reached to a point where you got 30,000 plus prospects. Now identify the prospects who are inactive. Identify the prospects who are opted out. Identify the prospects who are not having a lot of tractions with your content. Now you identified 7,000 prospects. Now delete them. The moment you delete them, they all will get included in the recycle bin. Now 35,000 minus 7,000, you got 27,000 prospects now. Now you can still further downgrade it, and now you are within the limit as 25,000. Now all those prospects who are in the recycle bin, we haven't lost them. They will all be there. Their historic data will all be managed. The only thing is they will not be counted for your usage. Now that means whenever you reduce or whenever you move an asset or a prospect into recycle bin, they will not be accounted for your usage. As I gave an example, your edition allows, or your Pardot edition allows you to manage up to 25,000 prospects. If it crosses, then you need to pay them more, or you need to extend it, or you need to enhance it by paying a cost. Now to avoid that, what you can do, you can reduce your total number of prospects by moving a part of it into the recycle bin. Now it can be considered even for other assets. When I say other assets, let us say when you have got a basic Pardot edition, you are allowed to connect with 5 API connects. Now if you are going beyond that, they might ask you to pay up more. Now you can always delete it. We can find them on the recycle bin. Now you're getting the picture here? Yes. So that is also a clause which we can have an understanding with the Pardot support team. So it will remain there for a certain temporary period, like 90 days or 120 days, something like that. So after which it will automatically get deleted.
Yes.
And also with respect to the prospects, you always have an option to permanently delete them. Not all the assets, but with respect to the prospect, you can delete them permanently. But rest of it, you don't have an option to delete it. It will automatically delete it after certain number of time, which you can always decide with sitting with a executive. But yes, with respect to the prospect, you can always delete them permanently. Okay. So now to access the recycle bin, you can go to the admin and go to the recycle bin section. Then you will get to see a list of modules available under recycle, like automation rule, blocks, campaigns, competition. Whatever activity you perform using this dashboard, all of them will be available. Now you can get to see the prospects here, where you got to see the record number 46. That means 46 records were deleted. Now you can get to see the users here. Now there are 11 users which are under recycle bin. That means they are deleted. So whichever asset you delete, they will get embedded, or they will get included in respective folders under recycle bin. If you have deleted an email template, you can find that under email templates here. If you have deleted an engagement flow, you can find that on engagement studio here. If you have deleted a connector, you can always find them under connector here. Makes clear? So what is recycle bin? What are the points we need to keep in mind? So any asset in recycle bin can't be emptied. That means you cannot permanently delete them except for the prospects. So that's what the point I did emphasize upon. If a campaign is deleted, the prospect associated with the campaign remain in the system tagged with the deleted campaign. Take an example. You created a campaign by the name Health 2021. Now there are 100 prospects which are tied up with that campaign. Now you deleted the campaign will go to the recycle bin. So if a campaign is deleted, the prospects associated with that campaign remain in the system with the deleted campaign. So that's what the point says. So then before deleting, Pardot warns you. So elements associated with the campaign. So which are all the other assets which are tied up with that deleting option. So as I said, campaign, there might be prospects associated with the campaign. If it is a template, it will say which are all the lists which are associated with that template. If you are deleting a list, it will show you all the emails which are tied up with that list. So like that, associated assets will also be shown before you delete an asset. Then admins can permanently delete prospects in the recycle bin. Pardot no longer tracks prospects when they are permanently deleted. Now that is given that if a prospect is in the recycle bin, it will always keep a track of its movement or actions. Fine, that's clear. Okay. So a deleted prospect is restored when the Salesforce record its syncing is undeleted. So whenever a prospect is in recycle bin, and if any action happens, if it is re-imported automatically, it will be, that means it will be restored. So when you permanently delete a prospect in Pardot, you must delete associated leads and contact in Salesforce. Otherwise, which prospect will be moved back from recycle bin when a new activity is logged. Take an example. You got a prospect here and he is from CRM and we are deleting this prospect. Now, when you delete this prospect, he will be in the recycle bin. When you re-upload them, it will resurrect. So it will restore. So if you don't want this record, every time when there is an action on the CRM, even though if he is on recycle, it will all get undeleted. Every time when there is an action on the CRM, you're getting the point. So let us say this prospect, he is there in the recycle bin. Now this CRM prospect, he is there in the service cloud. He is present in the service cloud. Now this guy, what he has done, he has opened an email or he has submitted a form. The moment he does an action, then this CRM prospect will get back and restored. So he will be restored. Now you got the point. So the other part is opportunity and prospect account custom fields are deleted permanently and don't appear in the recycle bin. User must be manually recreate the field. To recover field values, run a full sync with the Salesforce. So we got to see the opportunity field and also the account field values. So if they are deleted permanently and don't appear in the recycle bin, so they don't appear. So once you delete them, they don't see up in the recycle bin. Now, since they are not being pushed into the recycle bin, if you want to restore their values, it has to be a full sync with Salesforce. And the other point is tags and content files are deleted permanently and don't appear in the recycle bin. That means these two parts, there is tags and whether as well as content files. Then so deletion can take up to 30 days depending on the number of prospects deleted and how much data is associated with them. So when you delete a group of prospects or a single prospect, it takes some time to recycle them. That's the point. Maximum up to it can take up to 30 days. Let us say in one go, you are deleting 10,000 records or 10,000 prospects. Now it cannot happen in a 1 hour or 1 day because with this prospect, there are a lot of other things tied up and all those things need to be identified. You're getting the point? So that is the reason why it takes some time before it is being deleted. So this is all about recycle bin. Fine. That's clear. Okay.
Just a quick info, guys. Intellipaat provides Salesforce online training mentored by industry experts. The course link is given in the description below.